Hey, Sam fans! I wanted to start this episode by shouting out our two certified Sam stands from Patreon, Killabee and Temple Woods. Thanks for subscribing, you guys. And if any of you other listeners would like to support us on Patreon, we have 5 subscription tiers to choose from with tons of awesome extras for you, including early access to weekly episodes, live blogging with other Sam fans and the hosts, 2 extra Patreon podcast episodes per month, and much, much more. Check it out and enjoy this episode of A Sam Girl Retrospective. Is your cat eating your wires?
He's so excited that I'm anywhere without a baby that he can sit on me.
He's baby now.
Yeah, exactly.
He's baby now.
Yeah.
Oh my
Rose currently
gosh.
sat in a basket just glaring at me.
That's her face. She always looks like she's.
Fine, but this is
So I'll have to make another video of, oh my God, your cat is hilarious. Which one is it? It's the other one.
Gus,
it's not,
right?
It's Gus, not
It's
Rita.
Gus, yeah.
Gus is being hilarious. Okay. We're recording. Yes. Oh, guys, this is the season 2 finale episode. I am still like kind of emotionally hungover from watching them back to back 2 days ago. It's so hard.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Do we consider, because it's part 1 and part 2, are we talking about it as if it's one massive episode?
That's a good question. I'm not going to do that actually. Here's why. Because I gave them very different ratings.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to say, yeah.
I gave them very different ratings because I considered that actually. I did. And I was like, that would be kind of fun because it's all one story. But when I went
they've got different writers and different directors as well. So I feel like it's kind of
very clear. Yeah, it's very obvious. So when I went to rate them, I was like, yeah, these are very different when it comes to these ratings. So like we can kind of jump around, obviously.
They're like
one story. Yeah, 100%. And I think I'm cool with us jumping around. But when it comes to discussing the episodes and rating them, we'll definitely have to like make sure that we're so I'm gonna go ahead and start with All Hell Breaks Loose Part 1. And I'm going to summarize that one right now. And y'all help me because they do run together. But the cold open, we know it's going to be a big deal just because it's the second to last episode of the season. But the cold open again has the boys in the cold open. And so therefore, it's going to be like intense. And so Sam goes into this little diner to grab them dinner. And Dean's like, give me some pie. And then he never comes back. And then there's like violence that goes on. And Dean's like, oh no, I got to go inside. And when he goes in, like people are dead. Sam is nowhere to be found. There's a lot of rain. Like when he walks back out, it's like he's walking across a river. I was like, where are they? And he realizes Sam is disappeared. And so then Sam wakes up and it's this really cool shot from above where he's on his back and then it spins around him kind of. You see that he's like in this abandoned like pioneer like theme park kind of. And that's the cold open. The whole episode is spent Dean trying to find Sam realizing that he's not the only one at this place. It's like abandoned like pioneer place. There are other special children there. They have Ava is there, Andy is there, a girl named Lily is there, and a military man named Jake is there. And Sam kind of becomes the leader. There's a lot kind of going on where they don't trust each other at first, and then they do. Then Lily ends up dying because she tries to leave. And then we flash to Dean is trying to figure out where Sam is using Bobby. And then they're trying to figure out what Ash has discovered. So they go to the roadhouse. The roadhouse is destroyed, burnt down. Every hunter inside is dead. You're supposed to think Ellen is dead. Thankfully, we know she's not. Ash is dead, which I forgot that Ash dies this early in the series. Horrific. I didn't understand why no one was like, where's Joe? Like no one wanted to be like, is Joe okay? But like not even Ellen said, by the way, Joe's fine. She wasn't there. Like, they never mentioned her. And I was just like, okay, sis is fine. Okay. I know she's fine, but I'm also like, I would be asking this question in season 2. Anyways, so Ash is dead. Apparently, what he discovered was like insane. And so the demons destroyed that. So as Sam is
Hello.
getting to know what's going on at this pioneer place, and he's kind of teaching everybody about demons, and they're finally starting to trust him, we realize that actually Ava, who at first said she lost time and she's been here for just like a few minutes, has actually been there for 5 months, killing off anyone brought there. And so she's like fully gone like evil because she's like, well, I want to be the winner of the Yellow Eye Demon, like essentially Hunger Games for these kids.
Yeah.
And so she kills Andy, which is very sad, I guess. And because he was just like a regular doofus. And then so Jake and Sam are left, and Jake and Sam have this moment. Like, I really like them as friends. I wish it could have been different. But I think Jake really understands Sam, and they kind of understand each other. But unfortunately, Jake is not as familiar with the supernatural as Sam. And so when the Yellow-Eyed Demon like visits him, he really takes that seriously, and he's like, no, we can't be friends. It has to be a fight to the death. Also important, the Yellow-Eyed Demon went and visited Sam, and I guess it's the first time we, as the audience, see that he actually was given demon blood when he was a baby. And we're like, well, we don't know what that means, but he showed it to us, so now we're freaking out. So while Jake and Sam are fighting, and Jake ends up having like super power, like he's
Super
like
strength.
super strength, yeah. And he kicks Sam in the shoulder, and just like you can tell breaks it, like just dislocates it. And Sam still beats his ass, which I thought was so fun because like he's got super strength, but it doesn't protect him. He doesn't have super protection. And so Sam just beats his ass, and then he takes that like pipe and he thinks about hitting him, but then he doesn't, which is going to eventually be why he's able to be killed. And so he then, right as he drops the pipe, he hears Dean calling for him. Like, they've done this thing where like I think Andy was able to throw the image of the bell that Sam was able to recognize where they were based on that bell into Dean's mind with his powers. And so then Dean was able to describe it to Bobby, and Bobby was like, I know where he is. And so they've made it. And so Sam's running towards Dean. And right as they are almost together, Jake has gotten up and he stabs Sam in the back, and he severs Sam's spinal cord. And so Sam isn't even able, as he's dying, to like have a coherent thought. He's just dying. And I think Jared does a really good job in this moment. Dean catches him. Bobby goes after Jake. And then Jensen gives a beautiful performance of like, I'm going to take care of you. You're my baby brother. That's my job. And then Sam is dead, and he just is crying it. And Dean screams, Sam, and it's over. So that's episode 1. It's horrific. Let's get into it. Good morning.
I refuse to start my day like this.
Well, I'm sorry.
We're doing everything possible to avoid talking about this episode is what's happening.
It's so well, I do want to start by saying something really fun for me was on the season recap, they used one of my favorite Boston songs ever. It's been such a long time. It's such a banger. And Boston is my dad's favorite band of all time. Like, he says, you're gonna have to play More Than a Feeling at my funeral. Like, he's a Boston nut. So like I really relate to Dean like loving classic rock because his dad did, because my dad is the same way. And I was like, oh, I love this song. But then I was like, this is the last time I'll feel joy, so I need to hang on to it. And I wanted to ask you guys, is this the first time that Dean expresses his deep devotion to pie? And then it becomes like a
Yes. I also wrote that down. I
Mm-hmm.
think this is the genesis of the pie thing. And then
Yes,
like fans
It's
kind of
the-
were like, Dean loves pie. And then the writers were like,
It's
yes.
and it's
We-
part
we
of
do-
his
we do get Dean liking pie in Scarecrow as well in season 1, but this is the
oh
first
yeah,
part
because of the apples.
The apple
This
pie,
is
yeah.
this is the first part of the running gag
Mhm.
of Dean asking for pie, and
yeah,
then him
and it
never
becomes
getting
like his whole personality is pie.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, people
But,
making
like,
a
I do-
joke where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and then he never got pie, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Sam was abducted by a
He was a
demon.
little busy to bring back pie.
I do
Sorry.
like it as a running gag, though.
Yeah, it is
I think
cute.
it's a cute little gag.
There's a
It
line
runs-
there between making something a cute running gag and relying on it as a character trait, but we're not there yet. So
That's true.
we're not there yet.
Sam likes beer. No, Dean likes beer and pie, and Sam eat
That's
apple
it.
and salad. Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Way off in that.
We're not yet to Dean eating an entire plate of nothing but bacon. So,
Oh God.
That's Ron Swanson thing to do.
yeah.
I do really enjoy the scene where Dean is sitting in the car waiting for Sam, just kind of bored. This is just a normal everyday evening for them.
Yeah.
They're stopping, they're
And
getting
Dean
some
is
food, they're
even
gonna
like
move
in a
on.
good mood. Like he's
Yep.
like kind of
He's
happy.
listening to the radio. Everything is chill. And then the radio starts to go staticky. And that's
Yeah.
like our first sign that something is about to happen. But it's also Dean's first sign too,
Mhm.
because he knows what that could mean. So he's
Yes.
of course he starts looking around like what are the things that might be out of place right now? And he looks back at the diner. And at first you could think everything's fine. The lights are still on, but there are no people in
Yeah.
the windows. So he's like, well,
Yeah.
shit, I better
Right.
check that out. It's not an empty diner. It's a diner full of dead people
Yeah.
and
Like
no Sam.
brutally, like violently killed.
At every person,
Yeah.
cooks, everything. I just I love that scene because it's like such a good classic like ghost story setup.
Yeah. And I also made note that this is very rude of me, but I said once Sam leaves the car, the boys will not be back together again until Sam dies.
F you.
No. Wahahaha.
I don't like you anymore.
I was just like, this is so wild to enter knowing what's coming. And like I
Yeah.
would say, considering this is the first finale in this like vein, it is the toughest one. Like we get other finales where one of the boys dies, one of the boys disappears, one of the boys jumps into hell, one of the boys explodes. I don't know. Like that literally all happens. But this is the one that feels like it has the most stakes because it's the first time we see this.
Right. So far, the boys have been able to cheat death. But
Mhm.
Sam
Or
ends
avoid
up-
it.
or avoid it. But Sam is just laying on pallets in like an abandoned house,
Yeah.
being dead while Dean
Mhm.
stares at his dead body, like drinking beer and cries. Like
Right.
that's fully dead. That's
Dead.
not like
That's dead.
that's
Again,
dead.
He's only
Like, I-
mostly dead.
Yeah. I always like to ask this question, like whenever we have stuff that's like these really big things. Like, do you remember how you reacted the first time? Let's say just at the end of this episode, so we're not bleeding into the other one. But like, do you remember how you reacted the first time you saw it?
Yeah,
I'll say immediately in the next episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Never press that next episode button faster.
I started
Yeah.
watching in season 7, so I was like, well, there's at least 5 more seasons. So, and I know they're not all about Dean, so something has to happen. But I cannot imagine folks who are like, I heard they got another season, but I'm not sure. Maybe this is the end. This is also like back in the the mid 2000s
when they were on the
where
bubble.
they were on the bubble, and it wasn't as publicized in media whether or not shows were going to get more seasons, stuff the way it is now. And I can't imagine watching this episode and being like, this really could be it. This really could just be the finale.
It's it live, and she watched it actually because we're in the UK, right? So she was watching it like illegally downloaded in like 2006, whatever it was, 2007, like on like Napster or whatever you were streaming things on there.
Oh my
like,
God!
In the middle of the night, like when she before she had to get up at 6:30 to go to school in the morning, like, and she had this like situation where she's like, I have to wait a week to find out what happened. What happened?
I can't imagine waiting a week.
Bless her heart. Yeah.
That thinking about that is on the level of like Best of Both Worlds Part 1, Star Trek TNG. Like, I mean, they had to wait a year. I can't even imagine that. Like watching that live, of like, but even just waiting a week for this, I don't think I could have done it.
No, I do appreciate that they do kind of like tie up that loose end. We'll get to it, but yeah, no, it was one of those things where I was binging the show, and I was just like, okay, let's get to it. I need to know how my boy like comes back because he's my boy. And
Gotta come back.
And he's got to come back. But okay, so let's talk about Ava. I thought
Okay.
that it was really interesting because I have like supernatural amnesia and I couldn't remember anything about Ava. And so when she was like screaming in that closet and Sam like saves her and she's crying, she's so good at acting. She's just
She's so
weeping.
good. Oh my
He
God.
was like, "Oh
Yeah,
my
the Oscar
God,
goes to.
like I just saw you, Sam, like 2 days ago." And he's like, "No, babe, like it's been 5 months. Like you've been here a long time." And I was like, "Oh, poor thing, she's losing time. It's been five,
Mhm.
and she
You're reeled
tricked
in.
me."
So
Yeah.
I remember this because I had to rewatch this whole thing when I was writing a part of Lestra where I'm sort of exploring different ways that history could have gone.
Hmm.
Um, and so I watched this episode a bunch of times to figure out like exactly how the interactions would go.
Hmm.
So I was just watching this going, ooh, but I also really like Ava. Like I
Yeah,
really
me
Yeah.
liked
too.
when she first appeared. I was like, this is so cute. Why can't she be a more of a regular character? She's just a secretary from Peoria, and I really enjoyed her actress. And then she
Yeah.
shows up here, and I'm like, "Yeah." But she does a really good job
Yeah.
Hmm.
and I can't remember how I felt the first time I saw this because watching it now,
Hmm.
everything she does, because I know it's false, I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, that was a
Mm.
little bit overdone, don't you? Like, I'm just like, oh, it does ring just a smidget false because
Her,
I know it's not
her
false.
and
But
Meg.
did I know then? I can't remember.
I definitely didn't the first time around, but her and Meg need to have like
Oh my
an
God.
acting awards meeting.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to say her line, like when it's all revealed of the I'm the undefeated heavyweight champ, is it's like on a par with Ruby's I'm the best of those son of bitches to me. Like
Yeah.
it's a similar kind of like
Yeah.
line, and I would risk it all for both of them in that moment. I'll be honest, it's hot as fuck.
She like wipes her tears away, kind of like dismissively.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that scene where she just goes from like full on sobbing upset to just like, all right, you got me.
And
Like,
it's perfect. That was the most
oh,
impressive moment
so
for
good.
me, where I was just like, this girl, because she's cute as a button. And so when she's
Mm,
crying, she has like you know how like people with blue eyes when they cry, like their eyes get like, I'm a blue-eyed person. I don't think I've ever watched I just like stare in the mirror watching myself cry, but I haven't had an emo moment like that in a minute, but like their eyes kind of like get a little greener sometimes, and they're just like she was fully sobbing. Like that actress is
yeah.
fantastic. And then just like you said, where she flicks them, she's like, anyways, like that was fire. But it tricked me because then I was like, well, maybe she's possessed.
Hmm.
And then I was like, no, she's just a bitch. Like she just
She's
is
just,
like
well, so I
she's
like to
just
think
evil
about
now.
she's been there for 5 months and
What would that do to you?
she's
Like,
been
She's been murdering people that whole
basically
time.
right, but first she was basically tormented by a demon in her dreams, telling her there was only one way to survive this. So,
Right.
like, I'm not trying to give her an out. She's still guilty of murdering a lot of people, but like, I I would love to see the like downward spiral of those 5 months for her because I think it
oh,
would
I
just be
I
fascinating.
wonder if there's
Okay.
any like fics written
I
about
was
that.
just about to say
I
that. I'd
wonder.
never thought to look that up, but that would be such a good fic.
It would be
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Especially because she's so teeny. And you know, all of
Yeah.
these special children are very powerful in whatever way.
It's easy to underestimate
Mhm.
her.
And so she's
Yeah.
found that way to like utilize it. It's very, again,
It's
Hunger
a
Games-y.
like it's
Yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
casting, as you said. Like the actress is amazing, but like
Mhm.
just it's such a good choice to cast someone who looks so cutesy. Like
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she pulls it off. She's just very like kind of high pitched and like a little high strung. And then
yeah.
she makes a little joke to release her tension. And like the scene just flows so well the way that the actress plays it and makes her seem so, she like humanizes this character in a way that we sometimes don't get with side characters,
I think
because they're
that's why we
just there
like
to
her
be
so much,
victims. Yeah,
is because she's
exactly.
so full, like she's so fleshed out as a personality and like seeming to have a life. It
Yeah.
feels like there's more
I think
there.
they do a really good job with all the special children of
Yeah.
like making us
Yes.
feel the connection to
And
them.
that's what I wanted to
Even
talk about
Lily,
next. So we'll talk
who
about
is
that
only,
next.
even Lily, who's
Lily.
only there for a very short amount of time,
And
you
she
do
is
feel
a
for her.
queer woman. She's
I was
queer.
gonna
Yes.
say
We have a gay woman.
the OG supernatural queer icon, and also the OG supernatural kill your gays.
Kill your gay.
Immediately. She's like,
Immediately.
anyways, I'm gay. And the next scene, she's being
I
Yeah.
killed my girlfriend, and now
Also
I
gay and also
die.
dead.
feels okay.
Yeah.
That is another show that I would watch or read. A whole show of Lily coming, like,
With the worst Midas touch.
gradually getting this power and then figuring out what the power does, and then the trauma and tragedy of accidentally touching her girlfriend, knowing full well what that means, and then a cat just zooming past
I
Jess.
saw Gus's eyes under her hair, over her shoulder, like sneak, like I can't believe it. Okay, I'm so
But
sorry.
yeah, I would watch a whole show of that. The thing is that I would know it would end in a tragedy, because
It's
she'd get
awful.
kidnapped and then nobody would ever see her again. Jess?
It reminds me of in the original X-Men movie with Rogue, where she kisses the boyfriend and like I mean,
Yes.
it's obviously in the comics which I saw, but that's my reference for it. Is
Yeah.
like I was like, oh, it's like the curse, and when she said to him, "Oh, you're all right with your like superpowers, they're really good superpowers, and my superpowers are horrible." It's the same kind of.
It gave me a lot of X-Men vibes, actually.
I thought of the
it
Pie
also
Maker.
reminds me. I was going to say it reminds me a little bit of oh my gosh, what was it called?
Mine was Pushing Daisies. I thought Pushing Daisies.
The superhero TV show on Channel 4, the one that was about everyone has terrible powers.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like The Boys.
Jess will know.
It's actually an E.
Yeah, I can't remember now.
I think it's called
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
No, not quite that. But one of the main characters, her initial power is that she has, when she touches people, she has the power to make them instantly sexually desire her. But it then means that she then just can't touch anyone. So it kind of like it's very different.
That's sad.
Dying,
yeah, like
it kind of reminds me of the same.
You don't want to give your family members a hug. Like that's.
Well, no, because it also it's like people get like regardless of whether or not she's into them, right?
Right.
Yeah. But it reminds me of that just in terms of like that
terrible.
The lonely they're really good at
isolating
like the isolation and loneliness that would cause. So just thinking about it in those
that's
terms
crazy.
Yeah.
We'll have to Google that. We'll put a link in the show notes about that because it sounds really interesting.
I can't remember what it's called.
It's okay.
Yeah. At one point, someone has the ability to control lactose in people's bodies because they're lactose intolerant. It's fantastic.
That's
one
so
of
weird.
So
one of the things I wanted to talk about is Sam. Like, just some of the images in this episode are so good. So we got Sam leading a line of the special children, like jogging to where there's other sounds happening. I just love like that Jake actually was taken straight out of Afghanistan, I think.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
so he's in his fatigues, and then we find out that all of them are 23, like they're just babies.
Yeah.
And I wrote, I guess Andy hasn't matured since last we met him, because he said he was like he was putting like gay porn in some guy's head that he doesn't like. And I was like, that's
just 24/7,
but all right.
Well, Andy is also high like 100% of the time.
Yeah, he wasn't doing any growth since the last time
he has been, and not that people who are high all the time can't
do
growth, but
I imagine he did it because he was trying to run from what he was trying to cope with it. He was like
he
ripping
had
bong to like avoid.
He had that terrible situation with his twin in a previous episode, so I imagine he's probably still grappling with trauma from that, and he just has not he has kept himself like, I am not going to change at all, because maybe I'll change in a bad way like my twin, or
I bet he was just like, I don't want to deal, let me rip this bong as much as possible.
I'm just going to
totally
stay
understandable
and not deal.
I was just going to say with Jake being like, the fact that they very specifically were like soldier who's just come from Afghanistan. Like it so situates the point in time in which this TV show is made.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the looming presence of 9/11 over the narrative of every
Yeah.
TV show made around this time, but particularly like Supernatural with its
Yeah.
very explicit themes of us versus them and etc. Like
Well, and I also feel
narrative.
like it drives home the fact that like Sam and Dean were raised to be soldiers because
Yes.
Sam and Jake were very connected. And
Yeah.
I think Jake and like when Sam like Jake didn't trust Sam initially, like Sam was annoyed but didn't really take it personally because like he understood. And I feel like I don't know, I really, really loved their connection and it's just so sad to see how it goes. But I wanted to also talk about the way that they set up the arc here, the myth arc. So when Dean calls Bobby to find like get help to find Sam, Bobby mentions that all demon activity has been quiet lately. And so there's no leads. And then Ash has found like this thing. And I think it's really interesting. Um, I think it's really interesting that when they get with other hunters, they have all of this information to go off of. Like, how are they measuring demon activity? And like, I know Bobby's like the demon guy, but I'm like, why aren't y'all always like, Bobby should just come on the road with y'all because all of your cases would be so much easier. But I think it's really interesting because they don't even touch on that until the second episode. So they're setting up, what's going to happen in the second episode here. And it's just very like we've said all season, this satisfying narrative. Like it's just a very well balanced, well paced storytelling.
I was gonna say it made me laugh that scene where Bobby has the map out and he's saying to Dean, "This is how much demon activity there's been," and Dean's like, "There's no activity." He's like, "Exactly." I was like, Bobby, you drove all the way to like this really annoying point where you like get your whole map out to
say nothing.
That's true. That's right.
Let me show you something interesting. It's just going to take me
It's nothing.
2 hours to set it up. Okay, just stay there. It's nothing.
I also wanted to kind of ask you guys, like the little demon girl, like doesn't she kind of just act like a ghost? Like I thought that was really strange.
This is literally what I was putting my hand up to say is, have we ever seen demons in their incorporeal, like when they're not possessing someone, be able to take a form and like actually hurt people? Like the only thing I can think
that
of
demon did have a name.
Shadow.
Yeah, I don't. Well, Sam says it must be this type of demon that can do this.
So.
But it's the first time we've ever seen it and we'll never see it again. They'll all be the same type of demon from that point.
I mean, Supernatural like demonology lore is so loosey-goosey.
Right, but it also seemed like to me it seemed like the only like weak part of the writing was, well, we need this kind of weird demon to show up so we can reveal that Ava can control demons. And so it can't be a demon that's possessing someone. It has to be like this weird apparition.
Which
I
is
just think
odd.
it's weird. Yeah,
because she doesn't survive past this episode, so she doesn't control any other demons. It could have been any monster.
And if she can control demons, can't she control the yellow-eyed? You know what I mean? Like it's just very strange.
Yeah, it really could have been. So I kind of justified it by being like, maybe it was given this blah 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 demon name, but it's not actually a demon. It's just that's just what it's been called. Yeah.
Well,
I think,
or
Sam says that's a demon, but he dispels it with iron like it's a ghost. So I feel like they should have just said like, "Oh, I can control spirits," and they brought us here because it's haunted, and so that's one of my weapons. But instead, they said it was a demon. It was just I feel like they should have tweaked it because it didn't. Tweaking it does nothing to hurt it, but it does do a lot to help it change. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think had they just left it as just the incorporeal smoke, rather than it like assuming the form of a child that then very much lent into it just seems like a ghost. I might have. I think I would have bought it more because we do kind of see like just the smoke version of demons do some stuff later on. But having it like, it's just weird to have it take the form, and she acted so much like a ghost. You're right. Like,
I was gonna say Ava could have like projected the little girl as a kind of separate thing, and then the smoky demon could have come in and done the murdering or something. Because I agree, it doesn't make but I guess because it's quite good to have the little girl because it shows you that Jake's a nice guy, right? Because he sees her and his first instinct is, oh, I have to go and try and help her.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think at this point they don't have all of their demon lore together because they also make
they
a
never
big deal
do.
of this devil's trap made out
never
of
do.
railroad tracks being iron.
Oh,
And then when they dispel the demon, that's because it's iron. They're like trying to get pieces of iron bars off of like machinery around the frontier,
yeah.
like habitat or whatever.
Yeah.
But like we don't see demons reacting to iron later, right?
No, not really.
No, and I don't think it's iron. I don't think the tracks had to be iron to take to like.
They did make a special. They
Yeah,
did make a
it's
special point of saying it.
No, but that's what I'm saying is it's the shape is what matters, but the iron shouldn't. So I don't like that's the thing. Is like
it shouldn't, but they definitely they were like, oh, it's
Yeah, yeah.
They
iron.
made a
Oh,
point of
okay.
it.
They made a point of saying that it was
maybe
iron.
they also wanted to capture ghosts. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't
I think
really
they just
make
didn't.
sense.
I think they just didn't have
Yeah.
it together yet.
Well, I also didn't understand why it took them so long to kind of believe Sam at first because
When they're all looking at a ghost.
They blinked from one place to another. Why is it so hard to believe that demons are real? Like you just were transported, teleported literally. Like
you yourself said you went to bed in Afghanistan last night.
and you woke up in like what, South Dakota or something? Like that's so weird. One of my favorite things is that Sam just recognizes where they're at because he sees a bell and is like, this.
Yes.
We're in South Dakota.
I thought back to Dean's "You're a walking encyclopedia of weirdness" quote. Like it's so true. He is.
And I love it.
Luckily,
exactly.
Bobby also recognizes the bell from not even seeing the bell, from just hearing about a bell. Like,
from Dean.
Yeah, Bobby is truly the most impressive for sure.
Oh, speaking of, can we talk about Dean getting his vision?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It really killed him. He was like, ow.
Yeah.
Maybe he can understand what Sam goes through now.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to bring up was, so I mentioned this briefly when we recorded episode 1, when I said that when Dean says the word psychic in episode 1, he sounds like he's saying a slur. And I mentioned the fact that there's this part on the DVD commentary for All Hell Breaks Loose Part 1 where I've got the post, so I'll just read it out. Sarah Gamble said, I really love this scene. I love that we gave Dean a vision because there's like a subtext too. I mean, it's not even really subtext. He does everything but say, I'm not a freaking freak when he's accused of potentially being. So he's prejudiced against, and then Singer replies, I actually think you wrote that, Sarah. I'm not a freaking psychic. And Eric and I talked about it. And I think it was me that said, maybe that's a bit too much. So actually the idea that he doesn't quite get it out. Sarah says, but he thinks that.
Right.
And Singer says, he thinks that, you can see that. So, yes, Sarah Gamble fully intended for that to read as if Dean was calling Sam the F slur, just so we're extremely clear.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Wow.
Wow.
I love that you had that on hand so we could get it straight from the source.
I've got several different a couple more bits for part 2.
So I said Ernest Face Sam is really carrying this episode. He's so wonderful in this episode. Like he's beautiful and he's tall and he's very like compassionate and empathetic to the special kids and especially like when he's having that conversation with Jake, and I don't know.
When he's telling Ava Beyonce is gone, I know that she's pretending, but he is very earnest and serious.
I was going to say
he's so careful about that.
It's so sad.
Yeah,
it's so sad.
Also, her fiance is called Brady, and I was like, Brady.
I called that too. I was like,
what I said too.
Hello.
Yeah. Same.
I mean, there's a good amount of potential queer Sam subtext in this episode, other than Dean essentially calling him the F slur. I mean, Sam Andy shipping came from this episode. So
Andy.
And
yeah,
Dean. Wait, what? Sam Andy?
Yeah, it's a big thing.
I've
Andy?
never heard of
Big
it.
thing. The actor
Oh,
who
man.
plays Andy is super into it as well, by the way.
What do you call it?
He's like,
Samdy?
I think that is the ship name.
I
Yeah.
Oh
call
my
it
gosh.
nothing because that's nothing to me. What are we talking about?
There's a couple of scenes where they're funny flirty.
I was going to say, it's funny how big Sam is compared to Andy, which maybe is part of what people enjoy about that.
Maybe.
Wow.
The scene just after Lily dies, I think is quite. There's a little bit of like flirtiness going on there to me.
Sam
think
can
Jared-
do so much better than Andy. You know how I feel about him.
I just love Andy, so maybe that's you should have seen.
I think
Audrey, you gotta do a video clip of your face
Of
when
my
I said
reaction.
Yeah.
Fuck Andy. Fuck that guy.
I think
Anyways.
Jared just has good chemistry with a lot of people.
Yeah, I guess. I did not notice that because I was just like, when is Andy gonna die? This
I mean,
guy, there's no way he
I
can
didn't-
keep up with these people.
I didn't notice it either, but I guess I can see it. I don't know. I guess.
My next line was like, Bobby knows the bell by a vague description from Dean as he's like hemorrhaging.
Yeah.
from the
Yes,
ship.
right, exactly. When they
It's in
go,
South Dakota, which is like where Bobby lives, right? I
Yeah.
guess that's
That's
it's a
true.
local spot.
that's true, and that also
Okay.
explains why they're able to get there at lightning speed.
So quickly.
My thought was, how come every time they need to get to a place, they're magically within like 2 hours of it? Like, the United States is a huge country, and the Midwest of it is also just
Very
still
wide,
huge.
yeah.
Like, you need a day. At
They
least.
drove all day. They did. It was the middle of the night
Yeah.
when they reached Sam,
mean,
and they left in the sunlight.
Yeah,
Even
that's
just
true.
being within one state doesn't exactly like.
No, I
I
mean,
know.
obviously we know that. I mean, I live in
I mean,
Texas.
Yeah,
I was going to
Audrey's in
say,
Texas.
yeah. You're the ultimate like.
We're the
It's big.
ultimate. Like, I've driven for 13 hours and I'm still in Texas.
I'm
But
still in this state. Yeah. When
the noise you just made was so funny because it was.
I forgot when I started watching this episode. I forgot this is the episode where the roadhouse is torched.
I forgot that
Oh,
happened.
yeah.
Period.
When it happened, I was like, "Oh shit!" I forgot.
I forgot
like,
that happened at
Yeah,
all.
same.
Which is unusual for me to forget things.
they really said this is a finale,
Mhm.
and we are going to finalize a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
okay, so what are some elements of stability we've given these boys? Let's
Mhm.
burn down at least half of them. Like,
Yeah, it's really
Like,
letting you know
let's
that like
take them out.
there are
Yeah.
stakes. There are
There
stakes.
are
in this
stakes.
episode.
They are not afraid to change the world in order to give stakes to what is happening
Well, and I think they had to like
at this point.
give us something before Sam is killed because like that's huge. So they're like, okay, well, we're gonna get rid of Ash and the like the
We are
roadhouse,
gonna
your home base.
We are willing to kill people
Mm-hmm.
so that when we do kill
So
a
be
bigger
ready.
person, yes,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It sets the stakes that oh shit, maybe he could genuinely be dead. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
I think
we
having
kept-
killed
Oh, go
John
ahead.
in episode 1
Oh.
also
Yeah.
has already kind of set that
Yeah,
feeling
true.
up. Like we said in episode 1 that was a good stake to have.
Yeah.
You know, coming back, that it made that cliffhanger from season 1 to season 2 feel like it had real weight behind it. So I think that already kind of sets up the stakes of someone who you at least thought could be a pretty major character can actually, yeah,
Eat it.
it's got weight behind it.
Yeah. The
yeah.
next thing that I wrote was okay, so Sam is in his dream talking to the yellow-eyed demon and he has a wingspan moment, smugly daring him to kill him, which we
Yes,
all
he has
do
a power
love.
shrug. He has a
We're
power
all
shrug.
just
I love it.
like,
Power shrug.
oh, there's his he's wingspanning at him. But the yellow-eyed demon says some really like like super like hurtful things that I think are like again just like he knows how to like dig the knife in where no pun intended where he says you're tough, you're smart, you're well trained, and then he goes thanks to daddy. And then he calls Sam, you're my favorite.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting because like it is like a game to the yellow-eyed demon. Like he's literally watching like the like playoffs or something.
Yeah.
And he then reveals that Sam had planned to marry Jess. And then he take I
we
said
did already know from an earlier appearance. He says that in one of the very end of season 1 episodes. He did say about to Dean. He says that Sam had planned, he'd been going out shopping for rings or something. So I think we did already know that, but the fact that
I didn't remember.
So he takes Sam on like what I called a pensive tour of the night his mother died, because it was very like, to me it was very like Dumbledore and Harry Potter, like let's go into the memory. And it was very wild because it's the first time that Sam and the audience know that Sam was given demon blood that night, I guess. Or am I wrong? Like I
think it is.
That's the first time. No, that's the first time we know that.
So we never knew why he was standing over the crib until the finale of the second season, which is wild. And that Mary recognized the yellow-eyed demon. She goes,
yes. I forgot that we found that out right then.
Really
it's you.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that was a bit of information we got.
And that
right
opens up more of like the myth arc, is that there's more to this than what we really know.
They also lean into the fact that they I believe when they shot the pilot, that is actually Jeffrey Dean Morgan standing over the crib.
Yeah, it did look like him, so that makes sense.
So it was a very deliberate thing to make it look like John, and they leaned into that in here with Mary believing it is. I'm sure we've all got quite a lot to say about this, but the line, "She walked in on us."
Oh,
the CSA metaphor in this scene,
I hated it.
Paper thin. And that line in particular is the one that I think is...
Yeah, it's very upsetting.
It's not pulling any punches in terms of what that's trying to do.
No,
you know?
yeah. Oh my God.
And then particularly then with Mary thinking that it's John, and the fact that it looks like John.
Yeah.
And then Mary knew who it was. Like, all of that really leans into that as a metaphor. So that's horrible and disturbing. And then this was an observation that I saw, and I'll definitely hunt down the GIF so we can put it in the notes or whatever. Somebody make on Tumblr, I think it was Sam W. Girl. But when Azazel is explaining the demon blood stuff to Sam, there's a moment where Sam stood in front of that rack of his like childhood teddies, like little toys, and it's a moment where the stuffed penguin's little foot is just like resting on his shoulder, and there's just something about that is just so Jess is like, but it's like, it's so horrible when you think about it, like just like this little toy penguin, like his baby toys, and it's just like the foot of it is just sitting on his shoulder as he's hearing like the worst thing that's ever happened to him, that happened to him when he was a baby in that room. Like, and it's like, it's clearly not a deliberate thing, but the fact that shot happened to happen, I think when that was pointed out, I was like, oh, this is terrible.
Elle is extremely disturbed. Her face
I'm
is
having problems.
I'm having problems.
And I was also going to say, I think you can see some of the cracks in John and Mary's relationship in this scene. And Elle, I think you pointed out in the pilot episode about the fact that like John was watching TV downstairs while his wife was like asleep or whatever. But when Mary comes into the room and she's like, "John, is Sam awake?" And she sounds kind of pissed off. And then she's like, "Oh, okay then." And she like turns to leave without them even having like had a discussion. Like, it all just feels like there is something wrong with their relationship in that scene.
She's used to being ignored.
Family.
Yeah,
exactly.
She's used to being ignored in some way.
It doesn't seem like a happy family at all. And then I was also going to say, again, relating to partially to CSA metaphor, the better than mother's milk line. But also then that also plays into later on with stuff that Jen said about Ruby, and about like how Ruby sees herself as Sam's mum in some ways, and like kind of like metaphor. I'm so sorry, Elle. It's not my fault. This is what the show is doing. Like, it's not subtle about it. You know, and they definitely lean into some of the imagery of the fact that like Sam is kind of suckling the demon blood from Ruby in a somewhat maternal manner. So anyway, I think that's all I have. I think I've traumatized everyone enough.
Elle is literally, she fell out of frame. Like, she can't deal with this.
Now you have to clip my face.
Yeah, she was like, no.
Now, every single word that came out of the Yellow-Eyed Demon's mouth when he was talking to Sam was giving me such creepy vibes, like creepier this time somehow than when I watched it for the first time.
Yeah,
and,
he's
and
like
I
excited
think that
and
you
flirtatious.
just pointed out why, and now I'm having
yeah
the reaction that I should have had during the episode right now. So I apologize.
I think it's knowing how much violation Sam goes through now. Like the first time around, you don't know that. This is like the first real violation that we know. But like knowing that Sam's life is essentially all violation. Oh my god, sorry. I just remembered the other thing that I was going to say.
Something else?
Sorry.
No,
yes.
I'm scared.
So, again,
I need to go. My fish is drowning. I've got to get out of here and
brace yourself.
Yes, sorry. Again, I can link this because I have tags about this on a post, which is where is it? Yes. So when Sam is shown himself being fed the demon blood, Sam says, "Does this mean I have demon blood in me?" Present tense, in me.
Yeah.
Which
I've always thought that was interesting because it's like when you eat something as a baby, it's in your tummy that moment. But
we know, I guess, that the show is suggesting that that is true. But the fact that Sam jumps to that is kind of a wild thing to think.
I agree.
And it's just like, true. Boy who has felt unclean his entire life. Like, immediately jumping to that and thinking, oh, yeah,
this is what it must be.
A solution, an answer to
but
the
also
thing
he's like
bothering me.
We've talked about this before. Like, he clings to the fact that the demon blood must be like the reason for things, to the point that he thinks that's why he's angry all the time later on, even though he's not angry all the time. But you know what I mean? Like, he starts to kind of it's like, I think it's both a thing that makes him feel awful, and it's also a thing that's almost like a relief, because it's almost like an explanation, right? It's like it's a horrible relief that makes you feel sick, but it's kind of like, at least there's something.
Right. It's like getting a diagnosis.
Feelings.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah. Sorry, I almost threw up in my mouth a little bit because I glanced over at my notes and just saw, "Sammy, you're my favorite." And
well, and I feel like the writers often, to make people feel especially evil, always use the like language of SA. Like, that is the way to make them super creepy, is that they always lean into it being some sort of like sexual flirtation or like some sort of like innuendo, you know? And I just feel like it's gross. So after we get out of the pensive moment, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you have more to say
about just one more thing about the pensive moment? So I think up until now, we and Sam kind of understand that. Wait, do we understand before this moment that Sam is the reason Mom died?
I mean, she says,
or is he literally experiencing this for the first time?
I don't know.
Watching his mom get killed as an adult for the very first time.
Well, he literally says, the Yellow-Eyed Demon says, because he kind of goes through it. He's like, you lost Jessica. Yes, she had to die. And then, and Mom. And he goes, oh, that was just bad luck. Like, I think he kind of confirms to Sam, like, she was just like, in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
I don't think that they have dealt with it on the screen, but I think that will be,
it's confirming a thought that Sam already had,
right?
Because we know throughout season 1 that he feels guilt,
he feels responsible for it.
Well, this is confirmation of that.
But so for me, it's more that's an abstract thing that you can hope in the back of your mind is actually not true. This is the proof is right in front of you. And in case you still don't believe it, I'm going to show you your mom being lifted up onto the ceiling and listen to her scream before we cut away.
And explain my thought process and why I had to do it. Yeah.
And
exactly.
why she walked in on us. It was your fault, Sam.
Exactly.
You were crying like an infant and she came into the room.
My baby is 5.5 months old, so it's interesting to watch this scene.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Oh, no, Vic. What are you going to say? Are you going to traumatize us more?
No. Just the one last other thing I was going to say is that one of the things that haunts me in terms of things that just never get brought up again, mostly because we lost all of the like Boy King's Special Children arc to the writer's strike, is Other Generations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basil mentions the Other Generations.
Just offhand.
I have thought numerous times about trying to do something with that in fic. I'm sure people must have done it. But like, I've also...
Oh yeah, there's fics about it for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've written one.
I mean, like, Magda, I think, could be quite a good one, like, to make in season 12. Like, it's an idea of that maybe she's a second one of the late generations. But I quite like the idea of, like, older Special Children still floating around as well. Like, maybe there's some of them still left. And
I like the idea of thinking that it goes back, like, centuries and that there are historical figures that
it didn't work in the past.
It didn't work, but maybe we know about them because of some other reason and we attribute it to something else, but it was actually this Special Children like plan trying to work. I love when things go on like a centuries type scale because it makes demons, the whole demon plot feel bigger than the world that we're given.
Oh,
well, then it makes sense why we're focusing on Sam and Dean, because after centuries of trying, these are the two guys that they finally are able to make it work with, and they all the way through season 5 and all of stuff that's going to happen, and that it's not just about hunting; it is about all of this stuff happening around them too. Okay, so Jake kills Ava because Ava kills Andy, and he does it without hesitating. Do we want to talk about Andy dying? I don't really care, but y'all seem to.
I want to talk about. Oh, okay.
I mean, it's just. I think it's pretty horrible moment.
It's horrible, but it's
horrible.
Horrible.
I want to talk more.
I
want to talk more about Ava dying, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Because obviously we're seeing that she is a bad guy, but usually our heroes who we already know are righteous are taking out, you know what I mean? Narratively, they're the good guys. They're allowed to kill people because when they kill them, there's a good reason usually. Or they go through something because it was a bad reason and they didn't realize it, right?
Right.
We don't know Jake. Theoretically, he is one of the Special Children and he's on the side of the Special Children, and Ava is against the rest of the Special Children. But there is no lead up. There's no speech from Jake. There is just walk up, snap neck. And I was like, this is
a soldier.
A finale. Like this, they're like, okay, you know what? We're throwing away Ava's character.
Yeah.
We're just gonna cut that off, even though there's like potential there. And because we're not afraid to like change the landscape of this world. And I was just like, that is it. She dies so suddenly in the midst of like telling Sam like, these are the powers we can get in. It feels so good, and she's just gone. And I was just like,
I also feel like that
like
is to show the difference between Jake and Sam is that Sam will stand there and listen to her despite knowing what she's capable of now, because he does have that softness within him and that this is someone he kind of knows. And Jake is like, I'm a soldier. This is a threat. Goodbye. Like, we don't need to hear her talk about this. And I also think because Jake kept his powers a secret, he didn't want connection to others who had these powers as well. And not only was Sam searching for that and seeking the connection with others and to understand it, Ava specifically had the exact same power as Sam. And I think it might have also been harder to like watch her turn dark side.
Yeah.
The controlling demons obviously is supposed to be, I guess, foreshadowing, at least to some extent, Sam's eventual. I mean, he doesn't control demons; he uses it to kill demons. But I guess the implication
he does control them. He needs them to send them to her.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like
so he's
the way that he
them.
does it, I think implies that he could have done exactly what Ava did.
He could have been doing other things.
Them. Yes.
He could have used them to other purposes.
So true. I didn't think about that. That's very
I didn't either. And now I have to go write a story.
Because, yeah, like when you said he was killing them, I used to always think he was killing them. But now that I'm considering how Ava was using his powers or her powers, he was literally controlling where they went. He was wringing them out of the vessel and sending them to hell.
Well, at first he does that, so he's just exorcising them, and then later on he can kill them.
Oh,
yeah,
he does kill them.
Yeah.
Sorry,
there's a line.
Theory's talking.
No, he gets gets more powerful.
Yeah. So let's talk about the fight between Jake and Sam, because I do feel like one of the moments that is really beautiful and is that Jake is like, look, it has to be this way. The yellow-eyed demon has talked to me, and this is how it's going to go. There's no reason for both of us to die. Only one of us has to die. And he's very honest. And Sam is searching for ways to convince him that he doesn't have to do whatever he's planning. And he's very sweet. And he's like, I'm going to lay down my weapon and I'm going to let you see that you can trust me. And I think what is really, really sad about that is it is the reason that he is going to be harmed. And it is the reason he is going to be killed. And we know it's going to go this way because we've seen it. But it's so sad that like Jake genuinely, I don't believe Jake is doing something that's evil. I do believe he's doing what is survival.
Yeah. Well, he says as much, well, sort of, when he says, okay, I'll get out of here and I will go kill that demon. Like he's going to avenge all the special children, but first, I'm sorry, but only one of us can live.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like,
it's
not against
Ava
Sam.
wanted power.
Jake wants one of them to survive to kill the demon. Yeah.
I mean, I imagine, to be honest, that Ava probably started out like Jake. And
possibly, but what we know of her, is that she is the heavyweight champion. She started going into her power to see what she could do. And Jake has been very closed about that and is only wanting to use it now because it's survival. And I know that, Sam could have killed him with that pipe. We kind of touched on that when he beat that guy's ass despite him having super strength. That is one of my favorite moments.
So
but
that
he
scene,
didn't, and he couldn't.
And scene, he looks at, they have both put their weapons on the ground. He's kicked Jake's ass. He's hurting himself. And he could have picked up his own knife.
Right.
But he picks up the pipe.
He just leaves them both behind.
Maybe, and then he drops it.
Yeah.
And that knife is what kills him.
Yeah, I said this is baby boy's downfall.
He left the knife behind. If he had just picked it up and put it back in his like belt knife pocket or whatever, wherever they put their
I mean, Jake could have grabbed him and broken his neck. I mean,
he could have, but the fact that Jake picks up the knife that Sam surrendered to show that he could trust him and then literally stabs him in the back.
It's much more meaningful. Yeah. Chef's kiss. Like it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like look at the betrayal, like of like Sam's good faith gesture was turned on him. And that's where we end, where Dean catches him in the episode. So
his smile as he sees Dean always kills me.
I know.
Like,
and he's like limping toward him and then just I can't get over the way that when he is in Dean's arms on his knees, like sitting on his feet,
he still towers over him.
Yeah. But he kind of like just lets go, like his
I
strings are
don't
cut. And
know how Jared did that.
he,
Like, I
oh
don't know
my
how
God.
you make your body go limp like that. That's like
Like
incredible to me.
even to the point where like his jaw was hanging open
Yeah,
as Dean was moving
everything.
him. Like,
Good.
Crazy.
I
Like, he
think
literally
I
looks
cried.
like ragdolled. Like,
Mhm.
it's mad.
Just what do you have to say?
I just thought, Vic was saying at the start, oh, what did you do the first time that you saw the episode? And I said, oh, I pressed play on the next episode. Actually, that was a lie. I rewound and I watched the scene again. And then, because I remember being like, oh my God, I have to watch this again. It was so good.
Yeah, like, did this
So
actually
good,
just happen? Yeah.
I have to say that when Dean does the bit where he says Sam, Sam, Sammy, so number one, obviously it like kind of mirrors at the beginning of the episode where we hear him say it when Sam goes missing. And also actually I was going to bring this up, there's like a mirrored shot where when Sam wakes up in Cold Oak, that is then mirrored at the beginning of the next episode when Sam's dead on the bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But when Dean says the Sam, Sam, Sammy, I remember viscerally the first time I watched this, my brain immediately went to Mom, Mom, Mommy from Buffy when Buffy finds her mother
No.
dead. Yeah.
No.
So I literally
Why are
said
you
it like
bringing
10
up
times
the
once.
most traumatizing episode of Buffy
Vic,
in
this
this
is
moment?
What did we do to you?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
How did we hurt
sorry.
you?
She's getting us back for something. I don't know what the fuck's
What
going
did
on.
we do to you to deserve this?
It's the autism. My brain makes connections. I can't help it.
I love
Tis
it.
the
I love it.
tism,
I'm
my
here
lord.
for it.
Oh my God. Oh, I have a couple of questions. First of all,
I'm literally crying.
I know. I'm trying to pull us. I'm trying to pull
We're all
us out of
trying.
this.
I can feel us all being like a little bit manically like it's okay.
I wrote. Okay. First of all, when we see that scene at the beginning of the episode, well, not the beginning, but early in the episode of Sam laying on his back and he's waking up, we get like that 2 inches of belly. Okay. Breathe. 2 inches of Sam belly. Okay. And then I wrote, where was this filmed? Do you know, Vic?
No, I don't.
Because I literally called you out because I was like, if anybody's gonna know, Vic's gonna know.
I will say though that I'm almost 100% certain that the scene in the cabin that we I think the schoolroom cabin, I'm certain that is the same set from Hollywood Babylon.
I could see that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I could see
Oh
that.
my gosh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
well, see, I called
So.
you out and you answered. So,
She had an answer.
there we go. All right, and then also, the Roadhouse is burned down.
We spent so little time with that. I think it's really unfair to the Roadhouse. Not us, but like the show did.
But the show, why does my light keep falling? The show spends so little time on that. But I have a question that may seem a little disrespectful.
Oh,
The hunters that died in the Roadhouse fire,
okay.
do they have to burn them?
They're already burned.
If a hunter dies in a fire, are they just good now?
They're good.
Yeah.
They're just,
Guess so.
you don't have to do anything? I mean, like, if a person dies in a fire, they can't become a ghost because their bones are already burned? That does, I
Look
think,
at Mary. Look at Mary.
right? She died in a fire.
Yeah.
She's a ghost.
I think
So,
you
like-
need to be burnt to ash.
Hmm.
I think
Ash?
you need to be
I
burnt-
did.
Oh God! No, I didn't mean that. No, I think it needs to be like full cremation, as opposed to like having a
Oh, no.
I guess.
Or like I also know that ghosts can attach to objects if they don't have bodies
And
because
Ash's
we
watch
have
was still there.
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, because we do have instances where, well, no, there isn't a body to burn. She was cremated or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
so
And it's her hair in that behind that glass. in the mausoleum
or it's
whatever.
or it's a ring or whatever. But yeah, I was sitting there sad about the Roadhouse, looking at like charred hands
Oh, it was
coming up out of the
awful.
remains
And-
and thinking, I guess they don't have to burn any of these bodies. That's convenient.
That was a
My
good segue
action.
into the next episode. Because,
So disrespectful.
one of the first things in the next episode is Bobby saying to Dean, oh, it's about time we bury Sam. And I was like, why are you even saying that, Bobby? Because you're not going to bury him.
That's what I said
Um,
too. And the next thing he said
Yeah.
was like, we need to burn him. And like,
Yeah.
which one are we doing?
I have thoughts about that, but that's in the next.
Yeah, we'll get
I mean,
there.
We'll get there.
They also bury Dean at the end of season 3, which
Well,
I've never...
yes, but that's because
He's
I'm really
fully
interested.
in hell.
Yeah, I guess so.
They know where he's at. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Hang on. I have a link that I'm going to send you all in the thing that you should look at.
I'm sorry. I just saw that GIF set that you posted. What the actual flip?
Wait,
Yeah,
I'm confused. I don't know what you're talking about.
Then let's wait and I'll explain
Okay,
it when we get going. But
okay.
I can't.
Yeah,
Hold on.
Wild.
Wait, stop. Okay, stop. What are we I'm so confused. I was like, these are beautiful. He looks incredibly
No, it took me a long time to work it out. I saw it on my dash about 10 times before I worked out.
Okay,
It's
well, let's
too
wait.
different.
On there.
There's Jess. Okay, hold on. Let me look at it again. So Vic has sent us oh my God. Okay, she sent us a
So there's four
gift
gifts.
set.
How many of them are from this episode, Audrey?
Shut up. Stop. Wait. Stop.
Yes.
No. Wait. Stop.
So now you know why I came in the way I did. Like, what the fuck?
Only the bottom two are from this episode. The top two are from Shadow. Yeah.
Oh my God, my jaw's on the floor.
Same shirt,
and look in the second
shot.
The second
it's the same
GIF
shot composition.
It's the same angle.
He rotates his, and Kim Manners directed both of these.
It's the same lighting.
And if you look at the second GIF of both of them, the difference in Dean's face from the first one to the second one, like it's both somewhat devastated, but the second one, he's
dead inside in the second one.
Yeah.
So what is the first episode? The gifts are from
Shadow.
And we haven't seen that one yet, right?
We have.
No, that's season 1.
That's when they're fighting the demon, shadow demon.
That scene, the top scene is the scene where Sam says that when this is all over, you have to let me go my own way. And then Dean turns. Yeah. So as I said, these are both Kim Manners episodes. Like you couldn't make this like an accidental thing that happened anyway. Not that close, but like it's 100%.
This is psychotic. Oh my God.
I had a shift in my whole personal philosophy when I saw that gift set 3 minutes ago.
Exactly. No, literally this happened to me about 6 months ago, and I've had that in my podcast references tag on Tumblr that long, just being like,
you were gonna spring it on us in the middle of an episode like this the whole time. I feel betrayed.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
This is for the upcoming episode, right?
Jess is she's just getting plugged in. Vic is explaining to us.
Look at the thing.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
No, Audrey, I said I scrolled past that gift set on my dash about 10 times, and I was like, oh, it's a nice gift set, whatever. And then I went back and I was like, this, and then I finally read the captions, and I was like, it's 2 different episodes. I genuinely didn't even realize for so long.
Okay, this is out of order. Because we haven't even rated the first episode yet.
I'm so sorry.
And this is the second episode. But my brain is exploding right now. That is insane.
I have an ice cream headache, but it's not ice cream, and it didn't come from anything good.
A Kim Manners brain freeze. That's so iconic of him to do that.
I'm messed up.
So I'm gonna say my final thought is obviously Jensen is an incredible actor, and the physicality of his grief is what really gets me. He is able to physically transform into someone who looks like they've been in grief for weeks. And he does such a beautiful job at the end of the first part 1 of, oh my God, almost said when the levee breaks, of all hell breaks loose. I know, another traumatic time that we'll come to. So with that being said, I just wanted to give Jensen some flowers before we enter into part 2, because he'll deserve more in a bit. Let's rate this episode. I know it seems quaint.
0.
Elle is going through it. I will say we unfortunately do have to describe the wardrobe of this devastating episode. So we have horrendous, adorable, genuinely good. I know, isn't it so stupid? But we do it. This is our format. And then terrible but great. So we'll start with Jess. What did you think?
He's just wearing the same outfit the whole time, isn't he? I mean, it's a very typical Sam outfit, but I wouldn't say it's the main focal point of the episode for me.
Yeah.
No,
so
it's just like
adorable,
a typical Sam uniform.
I think that I thought it was genuinely good. Like it was fine because he's grown now, and so now the default would be. I know it's stupid, but
I just want to remind everybody about the 2 inches of belly.
True.
That we get to see. Just putting that out there.
True. Okay.
A slutty Sam outfit, you're saying?
Oh, so we need to put slutty on the descriptor.
He's just laying down and his shirt rides up, guys.
I mean, to be honest,
it's just an accident.
Why do we not have slutty on the descriptor? Like,
we probably should.
I'll have to. We should.
The beginning of season 4 is going to need that.
Yeah, we should grow the descriptors because as these were like from season 1, and there's more. There's more. He's growing. There's more to say.
Yeah.
Okay, Vic, what did you say?
Yeah, I would agree with Jess. It was like Sam uniform.
Yeah,
you know,
so like genuinely good.
If I was gonna draw Sam fan art, I would probably put him in an outfit that looked basically exactly like that.
If he had an action figure, he'd be wearing these clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Elle, what did you say?
I'm gonna give it a 0.
No,
because one of his shirts has a knife hole in the back.
No, I don't like that. A hole like a 0.
Like a blade in his back.
Okay, that's
I'm
not
gonna say
so sorry. 0. He was naked.
I'm giving it a blade. No, I'm giving it a genuinely good.
Okay. That's what I did too.
I really enjoyed how he looked through the whole episode.
Yeah, he looked great. Yeah. He had a really sweet like khaki jacket. He had he just looked great.
His hair looked good.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Season 2 hair is
even dead. He was
even dead. He looked great.
Some might say especially dead.
Vic, we're learning about you today. Vic, I'm nervous.
I'm scared.
Audrey, I'm nervous.
I'm sorry.
Audrey,
Jess, you're on the same island as Vic. So we're safe.
Answer for this.
I'm on the same emotional island as Vic as well. I don't think it's just our
It was too easy not to leave lying there. Okay, it was just
that's true. That's true. I put it down on the table. You had to pick it up.
All right, let's
I'm
rate
not
this
funny
one.
Very often, I've got to like take it when I can.
Grab them when they come.
So this is a Sam friendly scale from 0 to 5. I've changed. I used to say it's 1 to 5. You can score it lower if you want to. So 0 to 5. Let's start with screen time. Jess, how did you score this episode for screen time for Sam?
It's got to be like really high, maybe like 4.9, because it's really a Sam episode.
Yeah, I agree. Vic, what did you give it?
I think it's got to be a 5. Like, in fact, I'm regretting that I have ever given any other episode a 5.
I think I agree.
Because
I think it's a 5.
think this is probably the most Sam screen time ever, or at least the least Dean screen time.
Yeah. What did you say, Elle?
Which is what it's really about.
Yeah.
I gave it a 5 because even when he's just lying there lifeless, it's so sad. Like even when he's on screen but he's not really there, you're just like,
yeah. I gave it a 5 too because even when he's not on screen, everyone in each other storyline is looking for him. Like it's all about Sam, and he's the leader of the group, and so he's always relevant. Yeah, it's always about him. So I said 5 too. This is the first time we've all given 5s for something. So yeah. I think we're right. Okay, so the next thing is enjoyment. This is where the 0 might come in for Elle. I don't know, but so Jess, how much did you enjoy this?
Like a 5. I love this episode. It's one of the best episodes.
Mm-hmm. Vic, what about you? How much did you enjoy?
Absolutely a 5. Absolutely a 5. I've said before, anything that immediately like gets my brain going and thinking about things, and like there's so much of this that connects so deeply to all of Sam's story for the rest of time. So like it's so foundational, and he took charge, and he was wonderful and compassionate, and then that got him stabbed in the back, and
literally
And no, it does, yeah, everything ticks all my boxes. Thank you, Sarah
Thank you.
Campbell. We love you
Yeah.
forever.
All right. So, Elle, what did you give it for enjoyment? Don't be peer pressured.
I'm not.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I like suffering. I'm giving it
Oh,
a 5.
all
I
right.
am
Well,
suffering so much. It's
okay.
great.
Exactly.
I gave it a
Exactly.
4.8 because I don't like to suffer and it hurt my feelings, but it was still great. So there we go.
Hey, that I mean that is the mark of a really good episode when we get
Yeah.
such a high score out of anything that Audrey was like suffering
Yeah.
through.
I was super suffering. I don't like my baby to die. I don't
I
like for
know.
his like good faith gesture to be
I
stabbed
don't like
into
it
his
either.
severing spine. I don't like that. Okay, so our final one is heart eyes. So Jess, how big were your heart eyes for this episode?
I mean, yeah, let's 5 it as well. I think 5. Like, he's really good in this episode, and it's just such a like fun episode. And he's
Mhm.
like, he's a leader. He's like, he gets
Yeah.
killed. So many things to love.
Yeah. Vic, what
Yeah,
about
it's a
you?
5. It's a 5.
Dang.
He's just oh, he's perfect.
He is
He's
perfect.
beautiful.
He's wonderful in
He
this
looks like
episode.
I already know
Indra
he's
Evangelista,
perfect.
etc.
Yeah. Oh, what about you? What did you give
I
it?
give it a 4.8
Okay.
just because I didn't want to give all 5s.
That's me
But
too. I gave it 4.8 as well.
yeah, because he was the leader
Mhm.
and he takes charge
Mhm.
and he tries to talk them all down, keep them
Let me
calm, like,
peek.
He's
I mean, that's gonna come
compassionate.
into our eyes.
He has
and the
that like
2 inches of belly.
he has that
Exactly.
earnest face and the belly
He's
and
the whole package, the face and the belly.
and the belly.
That's every part of the package. Just those 2 things. No.
And as
What
we'll
a
see
weird
next
person that
episode-
would be if they just had a face and a belly.
Well, and as we'll see next episode, also like slutty little waist with a cute.
All right.
Oh
Well,
my
that
God.
will have to.
Ooh.
That's not for this episode, so that doesn't
Vic.
factor in. You're trying to cheat on your taxes.
I'm so sorry.
Cheating on your Sam taxes. Okay, so it looks like from those numbers, I gave it a 4.86. Jess and Vic both gave it a 5 across the board, and Elle gave it a 4.93. So overall, this is a 4.95 rating, the highest score we've
Wow.
ever given.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say
Wow.
it's gotta be.
it is. This is an
Iconic.
incredible episode. That's why we had to rate these separately. Let's get into the next episode because it's not the same.
Speaking
not-
of which,
Not the same. So, All Hell Breaks Loose Part 2. This I think I actually screamed. This cold open is incredible because you forget it's a cold open. You actually are like, well, this is just the next part of this is the next moment. And instead it's still a cold open. And so we've got dead ass Sam just rotting away on the fucking bed.
God.
Literally dead.
Who's been there for days?
It's been a long ass
Has it been
Unhinged.
days?
It's been
Yes.
hours.
Oh,
It's at
gosh.
least been through the
No,
night and
it's-
on
it's-
into
it's
the
days.
next day.
It's
So-
Oh my God.
specifically
So
days.
Bobby is like, dude, like we've got to take care of Sam. And Dean looks like he's ready to fucking kill someone. He's like,
Yeah.
make me. So as it ends up, the cold open is like he runs Bobby off. Bobby's like, okay. And then he leaves. And then Dean is just like, what the fuck do I do? And oh, he also says something's going to end of the world big. And like Bobby says this to Dean, and Dean's like, then let it in. And I think that's one of the most powerful line deliveries that Jensen probably ever gets to do. And he apologizes to Bobby for his outbursts, and I wish Bobby wouldn't have left him, but he does. And so Bobby leaves, and it's just Dean and Sam alone in the room. And so Dean has this monologue where he's just like, I'm your big brother, you're my baby brother. My whole job, my whole life was to take care of you, and I fucked it up. And what am I supposed to do? And he ends up yelling, what am I supposed to do? So he drives away, and I'm sitting there like, we just leave Sam's body just hanging out. Cool, all right. And he drives to a crossroad, and he summons a demon, and he makes the world's worst fucking deal. He gets 1 year, and Sam wakes up completely like confused. um and he gets back, and Dean returns, and he gets back, and he he's like, cool, you're okay. And again, the physical nature of Jensen's acting is so amazing. Like you can tell he's faking being okay over the top of deep grief and fear because of the demon deal he just made. And Sam's asking questions. He's like, what happened? This is the last thing I remember. And Dean's like, oh, we patched you up. You're fine. And he's like, you can't patch up a wound that bad. And he's like, well, Bobby did. And so Sam's like, well, all right, which is kind of adorable to me because they do believe Bobby can kind of do anything. He always has the answers. And so they move on. I think y'all are gonna have to help me with the next few parts because I think I focus so much on the boys I've kind of like forgotten the order of things. But I know that they go back to Bobby's because I think at one point Dean's like, "Can you please just wait and take care of yourself for a second?" And Sam goes, "Sorry, no." And so they go to Bobby's. Bobby Bobby's like, "Hi, Sam. What the fuck?" And Sam's like, "Thanks for patching me up." And he's like, he's noticing things are not right, but like Bobby makes an excuse to get Dean alone and leave Sam in the house to like look over this map that Ash like had, and which was in a safe. That's why it didn't burn. And so Bobby's acting there. This show is so lucky to have Jim Beaver because he's such a fucking good actor. So he kind of like attacks like physically across Dean and is just like, what the fuck did you do? And Dean's just like, I had to, and like I got 1 year. And Bobby's like, God damn it, what's wrong with you? And he's like, you can't tell Sam. He can never know that I did this. And I want to talk about this conversation in a little bit, but Bobby makes a point to say, how is he going to feel? How did you feel knowing that a deal was made for you and your family member was burning in hell? And so Dean's like, he can never know. So they end up with Ellen, like, arrives, and she's like, hey guys, I'm not going to tell you anything about Joe because we forgot she exists. And she kind of like tells everybody about like how the demons like destroyed the roadhouse. She was out to like run to get something. She was out of something and to come back. And so she gets to be part of the final showdown. So they realize that actually the cult itself is a key to a gate to hell. And that in the center of this giant train, like railroad, um, is a giant devil's trap. And gate is in the center. And that's why, contrary to the first episode where there was no demon activity, now there's all kinds of demon activity except for this one space. And so they go to that space, and that is where they find Jake. And Jake tells Sam, well, you can't be alive, man. And I love the way he says it. He goes, I cut right through your spinal cord, man. Like he's literally still kind of apologetic because like he didn't want to. I just love that line delivery. He's like, no, you can't be alive because I did this to you, man. And they use the cult, I guess, to open the gates of hell. And so there's all these like demons rushing out, and they're trying to hold it closed. And I guess the yellow-eyed demon like throws Dean. So Dean has like head trauma now, and he's like bleeding from his head. And Sam's like, oh no, Dean. And he like runs away from trying to close the gates of hell to go help Dean. And so poor Ellen and Bobby have to try to close it by themselves. I was like, this is maybe not the most pressing issue, but it's fine. They're like Sam and Dean, they be doing that for each other. And so eventually, like as the Allied demon is like beating on Dean and Sam kind of runs over there, John appears. Whoop-de fucking hooray. And he doesn't say a damn word, but he like helps like get the yellow-eyed demon away with time for Dean to grab the Colt and shoot the yellow-eyed demon dead fucking finally. And so after that, Ellen and, which I don't understand this part, but we can talk about it. Ellen and Bobby are able to close it and lock it back, even though demons have been like just rushing into Earth the whole time. They've been having this fight, and they all kind of like go, okay, bye. And John again says nothing, squeezes Dean's shoulder, doesn't even approach Sam. Fucking get away from me. I hate you. And he just like crosses over, I guess. And they're like, cool. And so they finally, to us, this seems like the whole myth arc of the series is over because they finally killed this man who they've been after, or this demon rather, and they've saved Dad, even though they had like a ton of demons came out. He was able to climb out of hell. And then Sam kind of approaches Dean and is like, okay, so obviously you made a deal for me, I can tell. And Dean was like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about." But like essentially he comes clean, which I was grateful for because there's not secrets being kept into the next season. Like everything's above board. And they end by being like, okay, well now we're gonna have to try to get you out of this deal, and that's setting up season 3. And it closes with Don't Look Back by Boston, which I thought was a nice like bookend from the beginning to the end. And that's it. Sorry it was so long, but I felt like there was a lot.
It's a very involved episode.
And it is the finale of the of 2 seasons essentially, because the first season we don't get a finale really. We get a cliffhanger. And so okay. A lot of loose ends. Let's dive in. Let's get into the Bobby trying to encourage Dean to bury Sam.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it had been multiple days, so maybe I'm a little less annoyed at Bobby, but Dean is deep in the throes of grief.
Well, and I was saying like Sam is literally, you can tell he is decomposing. Like he is so sallow faced, like he looks like a corpse.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that it's like, okay, we can't just like be sitting by a rotting corpse.
Right. But when Bobby is like, when he throws in, I could really use your help here. Like this is end of the world type stuff. Like I don't really think that's the way to convince a person who's that deep in grief.
Yeah.
Why don't we bury him so we can get back to doing our thing? Like, no.
Well, the thing is saving the world.
Right.
So I get it, but like Dean is thinking my world ended.
Right. But I'm just saying, maybe saying that to Dean isn't the way to get Dean to do a thing.
Yeah,
Bobby
Dean
doesn't give a
real
shit.
fast. Yeah, he learned real fast.
Dean does not give a shit about that.
I don't think anything would have got Dean to do anything.
No,
at that
I don't think
he says, you don't think I've given enough, paid enough. I'm done with all of it.
He's done.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who could blame him? Like, I understand. This is the thing about this whole beginning, because I have a lot of issues with, again, the way that Dean is going to frame and word the reasons he does what he's about to do. But because it's so hard to blame him for how he's feeling, I give him a lot more grace than I will any other time in the whole series.
Yeah.
Because it's so true. Like he's lost everything. And I don't know. Jensen just does such a good job.
He did such a good job. I mean, I was left that scene just feeling like, Bobby, leave Dean alone. Go find another hunter to help you. Like
my comment on Jensen's acting is that, to me, I think this is Jensen's best acting in the entire show. Maybe it's slightly unfortunate that he picked this early. Not I'm saying he's like bad in the rest of the show, but you know what I mean. Like,
no, I agree. This is the best acting.
He never quite matches up to this scene.
This is the biggest moment, though, I would argue this is one of the biggest moments for the brothers, because it's the first time either of them has had to face that specific thing.
This also is, I believe Jensen has specifically said that this scene he didn't have to think about anything other than like imagining that was actually Jared who was dead.
He loves them so much.
They're so normal about each other once again.
It's so normal
about each other.
Very normal. Normal friends.
But Kim Manners also hung a curtain up so that Jensen was screened from the crew. So there was like like, I guess the camera maybe just like peeking through the curtain or whatever, but like basically he screened it off so that it was literally just Jensen and then Jared lying there as still as humanly possible.
Beautiful.
So that he was like screened from everything, which I can imagine that would really add to the atmosphere. But like, I mean, that's such a clever choice of thing to do. Like, that's such a
that's such a director's move, because you have to think, how do I create a space for my actors to really like thrive in this moment? And the moment called for Jensen on Jared like one-on-one. And I just love that's such a smart choice.
I believe there's also Jared said that there was a point at which he did actually start crying, but luckily like the footage was when they had it kind of over the other side of him, so you couldn't see his face, but he did start crying during Jensen's monologue. So
sensitive
this
boy.
is so sweet.
Oh god.
Yeah.
And Jensen, what's his name? Dean. We're talking about Jensen so much, but Dean
character lead is definitely going on there. So.
Yeah, definitely true. But when he starts talking to Sam and talking about like their childhood together and the questions that Sam started asking,
that's my next note. Yeah,
5 years old. Like, for one thing, very sad. I'm feeling it all. And in the other part of my brain, I'm thinking, yeah, Sam had a perfectly shiny, perfect childhood.
I had to fight off my Sam brain to give Dean that space because I was having those same things. He goes,
I always tried to protect you, and it's like the tried is the optimal.
Right.
You know,
and the questions were, how come we didn't have a mom? Why do we always have to move around? Where did dad go? Because he would take off for days at a time. And I just wanted you to be a kid for a little while longer. Yeah. And I had one job and I screwed it up and I blew it and I'm sorry. And then I felt like at this point, like I was like, Dean, no, baby. Then immediately I got annoyed because the next thing he says is, I guess that's what I do. And I'm like, okay, now
this really isn't about you. Yeah.
Now it's really making Sam's death about Dean, which is crossing into annoying territory. And he says, he says, how am I supposed to live with that? Referring to Sam's death. And like, I know his heart. And I wrote this. I said, while I know his heart, it's because he loves Sam so much. It's this about me. How can I go on without you? And Dean being able to deal. He admits it, you know, bringing Sam back without a thought to how this will affect Sam is about how Dean cannot cope. And, you know, I don't know, like I thought that was such an interesting reaction from myself at this point because the first time I watched I was just devastated. Like I was just like, yeah, I get it, man. And this time I switched on my like heels. I turned and I was like, no, now I'm annoyed because if you had stopped here, I'm with you, I get it. But you kept going and then you immediately was like, I guess that's what I do. I just fuck things up. How am I supposed to live with myself now? And it's like, sir, he's dead. Like
To me, there is a through line between that and Dean's response of "I'm poisoned, Sam." After Sam finds out about what Dean did with getting him possessed with Gadriel. Like
it's such a it's such a gaslighter boyfriend thing to do. It's like, well, I guess I'm just a bad person, and you shouldn't.
But that's what I mean. Like, there's a through line there of like. Taking something that's a tragedy that happens to Sam and making it about himself. And
I guess I just won't speak anymore.
Yeah, like it's like in this case that you got a little bit more sympathy for it, and then by the time you get to there, you're like, well,
he just uses that I am such a bad person as an excuse to just do whatever the fuck.
Later he does. Just what were you gonna say?
Yeah, but I was gonna say in this instance, like certainly in like Sam is dead. Like so, fair enough, it's about Dean because Dean is the person that is there. You know.
No, I completely understand it in this moment, but I think like in the context of Dean, like, you see the through line there of thought.
Having seen the rest of the show.
I will say that the way that Jensen says I screwed it up, I think it's because he's so emotional, the Texas drawl really jumped out on that line.
Killed me. It killed me. And I'll say, and it's not that different. It's not that different from living in Kansas. I'll say that. Like we're just like a few 100 miles up north, but I just, that moment, because his voice cracks, is like, I screwed it up. Like it came from right in the middle of his core. And it's such beautiful acting. But I also wanted to say too, like, Jess, you're totally right. Like he has every right to have these feelings and kind of talk about it in terms of like how he feels in this moment, because Sam literally isn't there. He's dead. He's gone. Dean is in a room by himself. But where it bothers me is that is what he uses as motivation to do what he does next. And I think that's why it bothers me. And Vic, as you were saying, you know, you extrapolate the trauma and the curse of like Dean's toxic masculinity and his inability to understand the difference between control and love, and you extrapolate that across 10 more seasons of actually not dealing with
mean,
those things,
kind of,
that is the through line becomes
yeah.
a giant boulder.
Yeah, I mean, kind of related, like, obviously later on in the episode with when he says to Bobby, like, please don't tell him. And he has that,
You can't
like,
ever tell Bobby.
Like, that tiny little,
know.
like, voice, and, like, you can feel that, like, little broken boy inside of him. But again, like, with the weight of everything, it's like, if only he didn't hurt Sam so much along the way, because he never learns to, like, heal that or deal with it.
And I think that's what we get very upset about, is like, I can almost, probably the first time I saw this, I could actually even forgive him for doing this absolutely hypocritical thing that John did to him, that he was suffering about the whole season. Doing that to Sam, I could forgive him the first time, but because we know he's never going to actually learn from any of these things, and in fact become more toxic and actually hold Sam to the same standard as, you should be just as toxic as me actually later, and then like the narrative then reinforces that, we get really angry right now rewatching it, because we know those things.
That's what I was watching, and down the centre, like, just before, to watch this and to do this thing in down centre. Do you think that Justine did the right thing? Like, should he save Sam? And I was like, well, technically no. Like, technically this is the start of a very bad road that they go down. So even though I love Sam and I'm glad that he does come back, actually, it's no.
As a viewer, as a watcher, obviously I want him to do something to bring Sam back. But looking at it from a character perspective, no, it was not the right thing to do. Like, that's you can have it both ways.
Sorry, I was blowing my nose.
Audrey's just like arm appearing with the thumbs up.
I had to blow my nose. I didn't want y'all to think, well, because last time I recorded with Elle, I was in the middle of a sentence and I was trying to get my thought out before I sneezed, and then she thought I was breaking down crying. So I was like, what? And I didn't want her to
like, are you okay?
And I was like, I'm literally sneezing.
Oh, do you have to go? Oh no.
I'm actually going to see the baby.
That's okay. Thank you for coming on for a little while.
I would text you or put on the group some of my thoughts about this episode, because I agree it's not as good as this episode. But sorry to bail.
No, it's totally fine. We're so grateful to have you even for a little bit. Go tell Oren we said hello.
It was so super, super, super fun, and I look forward to hearing the second half.
Oh, we're so happy to have you, Jess.
Okay, so the next note I have is about Dean making the worst deal ever because he's so desperate, and she knows that he won't stop trying to make this deal, so she's not even worried about, like, the demon's not even worried about it.
All the power in this situation.
Yes.
She knows it.
Terrific.
I
know it's horrific.
I thought you said terrific.
No, it's horrific.
It's horrific. Yeah.
Oh my god.
She says,
I just X'd out of a tab and it went to that fucking gift set again, Vic. I'm so mad at you for this.
Vic has something against us today.
She's been bringing the heat.
Vic is assassinating us.
Some of this stuff I've been storing up for months. So
just waiting to drop it on us in the middle of recording a podcast. That you gotta capture the reactions as they happen.
Yes, I was gonna say Audrey had given me very specific instructions that if I think of anything, I'm not allowed to say it to you. So
well, it worked. It played so well on the podcast.
I know.
Oh,
finally, the long game paid off.
Oh my gosh.
I have stuff that's stored up for like season 8.
So I'm so excited.
Can I put in my request right now to not be on any episodes Vic's on for the foreseeable future?
No, we need your killed sad face. We need your like falling out of frameness. It's the best.
You just like my suffering.
You like your suffering. You literally rated the last episode a perfect score for enjoyment because you love to suffer.
Yeah, you're right.
I know. I got receipts.
I have to say I really like in the scene where Dean goes to the crossroads when he's like burying the box of all the stuff in, like the music and like the way that's directed is like so like it really gets the like frenetic energy of it, like the kind of desperation.
It's so
especially
urgent.
after that quiet scene that he's had with Sam when he's trying, he's like begging, what do I do? And then the final shout, what am I supposed to do? And then zero music, car peeling out. He's got a plan and he has to do it right away before he has second thoughts and figures out that this is a really, really bad idea.
Yes. But will do, and he does it anyways.
He does it anyway.
And then Sam wakes like a confused puppy and he tries to see where the stab happened. So that to me was really interesting because he remembered what happened to him. Also, you get his entire like whole tummy and back.
This is what I was saying. This is where you get the slutty waist, and also Jared has that like really like extreme curve on his back, and it's very hot. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sorry, Jared. If you're listening, I'm sorry.
Oh, he knows. People have told him about it.
But he has to know. You were like a Saks like remember the Saks days where like he was like an ambassador for underwear? So I'm like, you do know that
he knows.
You do understand the curve of your back. So I just wanted to apologize though, and I am sorry.
I mean, I don't know if
there's objectification going on, but we think you're okay with it.
We're at least glad you were able to make some money using the Saks for it.
Yes.
I don't know if any of you actually clicked on the gift set that I sent the other day where I was like, I have so much respect for this fan, but it was literally like a girl at a recent convention who literally like her question was just being like, I really enjoy your shirtless scenes, particularly that one at the beginning of season 6. And Jared, you literally can see his entire face just like blushing the second she's like, it's so cute. And he like pulls the beanie down over his face.
Oh
and
my
God.
Yeah, I did see that.
Then,
I did.
Yeah, and then he was like, I used to be ripped. And I'm like, love, you are still ripped. You are still ripped. Like, by anyone's definition. I promise you are.
Please.
Well, the funniest thing to me in the next scene is they order pizza and Chinese food. So like dying and grieving is probably, it makes you really hungry.
Yeah. You spend a lot of energy doing both.
Which is unusual for Sam. So, you know.
Yeah. He's like, I've been dead for days. I need to fill this tummy up. This tummy that I just showed off in the mirror.
My little tummy is empty.
So Sam
I'm sorry, Jared. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, seriously. So Sam is asking all the right questions. Again, it's because you're on a different continent than us. You're safe from him, and
you're safe.
I'm in the same state.
You're in Texas.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, but I'm gonna go get his autograph.
That's true. I hope he finds this before that.
And encourage him to watch.
Oh my God! You should give him a podcast sticker.
Yeah,
you should give him a podcast.
Oh yeah, we're telling him about the podcast.
And you're giving him a sticker.
Yes.
Or two stickers.
This just became a lot more real, and I'm gonna have to tone myself down.
He probably won't have time to listen if he's filming with noise.
No, you're right.
Maybe if he's working out and he wants girls to be like talking about him, like analyzing his character.
Yeah. I just need him to know.
We need him to know. I've been wanting him to listen since like episode 1. So you're going to be our ambassador.
It's not just like talking about how cute he is. We're also like seriously discussing his storyline and his character. And I think that he would respect that.
And we are literally the only Sam-focused podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There should be a lot, but we're the best.
We're the best.
We're the best Sam podcast around. But we are the best.
Heavyweight champs.
Just
we're
like
the
Ava.
best.
And then Jake comes and breaks their necks.
Shit.
So Sam is asking all the right questions because he knows something isn't right about how he's okay after everything. But like Dean is just like, it's fine, Bobby, whatever. And just take care of yourself, like, please, I just gave my soul away for a fucking year to save you. Can you please not put yourself in harm's way? Like, he is begging. And I feel really bad for Dean, honestly, at this moment, because it's like, even though you did this, like, you still can't control whether or not what he does with this second chance, especially because, Dean's not going to be honest about it with him.
Right.
And I really love the line delivery of, I'm sorry, no. And the next shot is the Impala driving to Bobby's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have to say that like Sam waking up like instantly as soon as the deal's made, so that he wakes up alone. It's like it really that really adds to it. Like just thinking about that.
He instantly goes to to the mirror to be like, what the fuck? I remember being stabbed and like,
and he has a scar and like a healing wound, and he still seems like he's in pain. So it's
there's
not like
dried blood on his back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
And
what
you
could
can
have
still see the
possibly
hole through the
happened?
shirt.
Yeah, what could have possibly happened that would heal that fast? Because it clearly was a pretty serious wound.
I think the only reason he bought what Dean said about Bobby is because it was on his back, so he probably really couldn't see that well. He was like, it must have been something back there I didn't notice or whatever.
Maybe it was a scratch. I don't know.
I mean, again, like this is one of those things where in the context of the episode and when you first watch it, like it's understandable Dean not telling him what had happened, and you feel like sympathy for him and etc. But like in the long history of the show and the history of like withholding information from Sam and like Sam being lied to about stuff that is like
about him,
contradicting something, but not just that, like contradicting something that is observable to him. Like during the Gadriel situation where he's like losing time, or like he wakes up in places, whatever. Like he's the same thing's happening, right? He knows there's something up straight away. He's able to observe. This stuff doesn't add up, and it's like, in the context of the episode. But in the long history of
it snowballs for sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about go ahead,
carries more weight
because I want to move on in a second to something else. So I'm sorry, I'll say what you're gonna say.
So because, as Vic said, because we've seen this and we know how this develops over time, I made this note, but I don't, and I think I would have made this note if it was my first time, but it wouldn't have had this like nuance, right? Sam knows about the demon blood at this point. And when Dean is like, what else did he tell you? Sam is like, nothing, and keeps the demon blood hush. But that's about Sam. When he's asking Dean what happened, and Dean is keeping the fact that Sam died from him, that's also about Sam.
Yeah.
Like
Sam is entitled to that information and to do with it what he wants. Dean is obligated to tell Sam about that because it's about himself.
Right.
And Sam is not obligated to tell Dean about what is about himself.
Right. And this is just so this would be another example of
false equivalencies.
People doing both brothers are equally whatever. They're both lying to each other.
They're both keeping secrets, but all of the information is about Sam.
Yeah.
Which is why it's not okay for Dean to do it.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to not move on from, but like the next scene is Bobby accosting Dean in the junkyard, and I want to talk about Jim Beaver's performance because it's absolutely incredible.
Fantastic.
And you can tell how much Bobby loves him and is fucking pissed because he knows what he's done. He calls him a stupid ass. What is it with you Winchesters? Like trying to always throw yourself into hell for your family. And Dean goes, that's what I mean, Bobby. Like, I'm not even supposed to be here. And his argument is, at least this way, some good can come from it. As if him being brought back to life wasn't good, wasn't right. And then he says, my life can actually mean something.
Yeah.
My heart broke. I think that's the part that actually really made me cry. And I haven't cried yet in my rewatch. I cried during this scene because I was just like, baby boy, like what are we talking about? Like, and we had this conversation where in like a few episodes ago, he hates himself so much. He knows that he feels like he shouldn't be there. And every moment he's alive, he knows that it's because his dad is burning in hell. And he's like, this way I'll right things, you know? And so it's a much more complicated situation too, just psychologically and emotionally than any other situation will be where he brings Sam back or he's trying to control Sam. Like it also has to do with, and I also should already be gone and my dad is suffering because of me. And so he looks at this as setting things right.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Which is interesting because then John is released from hell at the end. So
yeah.
Now, Dean paid back a thing that in the end wasn't paid in the first place.
And
exactly.
Of course, like we later know that the reason why John is released is because they're like, well, John didn't break, so
just let him
go. We need a new one. Yep. We need
And
a new one.
this other demon set it up so they could have another righteous man in hell within the year. And so they're like, well, we don't even have to work for this because we literally are going to get it, you know.
I said in Crossroad Blues that I do wonder whether or not that initial thing in Crossroad Blues about when she says this is like a one-time deal, if you turn this down, you'll never get this again. And the kind of like she knows he was never going to take that, but it's like kind of setting it up that when something happens later down the line, which I think
they'll be more desperate,
inevitable. It will put him in a more desperate position.
Well, Bobby goes on to say, like, how's your brother going to feel when he finds out you're going to hell? How did you feel when your dad did it for you? And I think I'm super glad that like the show like points out explicitly this is unfair. This is hypocritical. You know how much you've suffered. You're about to put that on your brother. Because that for a long time I forgot in the fandom wars, you know, that we were in the trenches for, that it was explicit because we've had to fight against so many stupid claims like of Sam like, you know, being saved by Dean and like that this saved him and having to remind them actually it's not a good thing. Like remember what it was like for Dean when John did it.
I think the issue is that yes, they make it explicit here, but then in season 3 they really drop it. I think it's such a missed opportunity that and this is the problem with Supernatural always, is that the focus is just never enough on Sam and Sam's Sam's interiority.
Well, and that's what I love about Bobby bringing this up. It shows he is thinking about that, and not many characters do.
But we never really, other than a little bit at the end of this episode, and I think a tiny bit at the beginning of season 3, we never really get to see Sam wrestle with what this has done to him in the same way as we saw Dean wrestle with what John doing with him.
Well, and
Dean gets like a slide
because of the writers' strike, though. We do know it's because of that. Like they meant to.
I think more focus was supposed to be on that and than the writers, but we don't. But the reality is we don't get Sam sliding. Like we got Dean kind of going more gung ho. Let me be like John, and I'm gonna be more vicious when I'm killing. Oh wait, maybe that's not me, and all these effects that he had from when Dad died, and we don't get that for Sam, but understandably, but it's still not there.
Yeah, it sucks.
I will say though that I do believe that it is at least somewhat to do with the writers' strike, but I'm not willing to cut them the full slack on it because of the fact that I think I mentioned this in a previous episode. Crick explicitly said in season 2 that he said, oh, we probably should have spent some more time exploring how John's death affected Sam, but we just kind of forgot. So, you know, like I'm willing to
clearly they forgot. Because at the end of this episode, the son who never got to say goodbye, who was gone when Dad like had his goodbye with Dean, also just has to kind of wave from a distance.
Oh no, I mean, I love it.
We'll get there
because
I know, but I'm just mad
I have a lot to say about that.
The framing of it is so
okay.
perfect.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. You're right.
We'll get there.
But I'm like,
no, I'm pissed about it, but we got to give it its time. And so, I want to talk about how it's one of my favorite things is when everyone freaks out, they just head to Bobby's because then Ellen pops up out of nowhere and it's like, oh, I guess this is where everybody goes. And I think that's really cute.
Shitty happens.
I think it's kind of cute. And again, I love Bobby. I know you'll have issues with Bobby, but like I just think he's such an interesting character. I think he's such a cool character.
Bobby at this point.
And I love him. I will always love Bobby, period. I'm sorry. Like sometimes people have favorites and they're not the same favorite that you would say, but I just like Bobby. Like
I think you are a shining rarity in the Sam fandom.
I just don't think that you have to. I don't think you have to favor Sam to love him, and I think Bobby does love him. I think he loves them both, and I think it's important that he speaks up for Sam's, like you said, interiority when that isn't going to happen for very much longer. And he's just such a cornerstone of the hunting like culture. Like I just think, I don't know, I just love him. I think he's cool. So a lot of hunters are dead. This is important. I guess, but no one talks about it again. They're just like, yeah, a lot of good people died anyways. And it's like,
Moving
will we
on.
ever talk about that again? Like, I know we'll maybe find out more if we can watch season 3, and maybe there's stuff that I don't remember, but I feel like it was just like, yeah, there's less of us now, and like we'll never talk about it again. Like how much good info was lost that day? Like how
Yeah.
much good
The hunting
networking,
community isn't huge to start with.
right?
So did they lose like a third of their people, and like now the one person who knows this specific monster really well is just gone and nobody has that information anymore? Like they're
Again,
not
the
centralized like the ones that we see
And if
in
they
the
write it all
British
down,
kind
like
of letters later.
if they write it all down like John does in journals, they were all probably burned while they were in that fucking building.
Again, I think the problem is that we never really get to see it's stuff like that could be interesting because of the fact that Sam and Dean, by their nature of how they were raised, are actually isolated from the primary hunting community. Like they're kind of like outside of it.
We do have Bobby, who could have been a liaison, and Ellen when she shows up. Like there could have been like, well, I'd love to dig into that with you, but the only person I know who knew about that died in the roadhouse. Like
it's
that
so sad.
That could still be a thing.
We're now not going to see Ellen until season 5, though, right? When they bring her and Joe back, and
I have no idea.
I don't remember.
I know she's probably not in season 3 because it's probably not imperative that they go visit Ellen much.
Yes. So if she's not in season 3, then she's not in it again until 5 when they bring them back and then kill them.
That's terrible.
Yay.
Yeah. So
well, she's like
they had
to take a
Bella
shot.
And Ruby in season 3, so they were like, that's enough of women.
That's enough women. So Bobby
and
makes
Bella.
Ellen, and
Bella. I said Bella and Ruby,
Bobby makes Ellen take a shot of holy water.
Love this.
And she's like, is this really necessary? And I wrote, girl, you know it is.
Yeah, but she had to, like, narratively they had to be like, this is a thing, like it's a test, and you know what I mean?
Seen it before.
I know,
Bobby
but we've
with
discussed this before, that it's week to week and people have missed episodes.
I know.
So they have to rehash a few things to let everybody know Bobby is very cool and resourceful, and he's making sure that everything is cool, and that's smart. It's smart.
I think I would have preferred him to be like, you get 2 shots. First the holy water, and then
the whiskey.
The whiskey.
She's like, whiskey, please.
Do it.
So after this, they unlock the safe that Ash was keeping his stuff in, which is what saved the cult information and the map. And so they are like, okay, let's go. And they go to the place, and Jake is there, and that's when the jig is up in front of everyone. He's like, dude, I killed you, and literally calls him man. I love that line delivery. Like, I cut right through your spinal cord, man. Like, it's just such an interesting way to deliver that, because he's still not evil. Like, he's like, I did it out of necessity, and I'm sorry, but like, you can't be alive. And that's when Dean's like, God damn it, like, I've just been outed. Like, obviously
I tried so hard for most of an episode,
for an entire episode, to keep this from Sam, but everyone knows. And so Sam already can kind of tell Bobby's acting weird, like, and he's like, okay. So Corey said they should have shot Jake. I guess I don't know if I agree, but they are able to. What do they do with Jake? Do they overpower him?
Sam shoots him.
Oh, that's right. So Sam's, I think Corey was kind of criticizing, like, why is he not shooting him? And I was like, I don't know, because like Sam he doesn't like to kill people. So then he does kill him, and he boom, 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 like just fucking kills the fuck out of him. And I guess they're trying to make it seem like something weird is happening with Sam. But if someone cut through my spinal cord, I'd be pissed. He was basically sitting there like, okay, my good faith gesture was used to kill me. I'm not making that mistake again. And he was like, I'm going to shoot him until there's blood on my fucking face.
Yeah. Well, and the demon even says later that they're setting up the maybe what you brought back isn't 100% Sam kind of idea here, because then Yellow Eyes explicitly points at Sam being all dark and whatever. Like, are you sure what you brought back was 100% Sammy or whatever creepy shit he says? But like, he that guy literally killed him. brutally killed Ava. I know she was like bad and against them, but it was a person Sam knew. He I wrote down a whole list of like shit that he did. Like
Yeah. Sam gave a lot of good graces and it
yeah,
bit him in the
like
ass.
he's trying to open a freaking devil's gate. He's working with Yellow Eyes. Like there are a lot of reasons to kill him and make sure he's dead.
What also
Sam doesn't have to be
even
dark to do that.
But also, even if he was in a moment of darkness and anger, he's justified. He was murdered by this man. So I don't even feel like he needs a list of good reasons why. He gets to be a little unhinged for a second. He was just brought back from the dead. And I think it's really unfair that Sam's never allowed. Dean can literally chainsaw someone's head off. And then we're just like, oh, Dean, that's Dean. He's just that's how he grieves. And with Sam, he's not even allowed to take a little revenge because against the man who killed him without people going, Sam is sure acting like a bad baddie. And it's like, okay, go fuck yourself. Like Dean is spending an entire season being a big whiny, like reckless, chaotic, like I will shoot first, ask questions later person against everyone. Sam gets to have a moment where he shoots the fuck out of the man who killed him. Period.
Yeah. And now maybe he's not 100% Sammy. Okay,
it would be less aggravating if the audience didn't buy into it, you know. But what I was going to say was it just makes me think of like throughout season 3. Obviously, they then try and lean into this more, and it always makes me think of that gift set that I think it was Samira made.
Oh, I love her.
Oh yeah,
I know. I miss Samira. I several of her like posts have been on my dash recently. I've just been like, I miss you.
I love you, Samira.
Yeah. But yeah. So that one that when Gordon says the line in season 3 about like Sam being potentially the next Hitler. And then, like, she made that gift set that's just, like, Sam looking like the most adorable little puppy dog throughout the whole of season 3 and just being like, yes, the next Hitler. Because I'm so sorry, like, season 3 Sam is, like, some of the top tier cutest Sam on the planet as well.
Yeah,
so
that's one of my
funny.
that's where one of my tags for him came from. Like somebody wrote like everyone says Sam is like going to be like the worst, most dangerous, like scary demon leader of all time, and in the next scene he's like a literal candy cane. And I laughed so hard. I was like, it's so true. He is a literal candy cane. That became my tag for when he's being especially cute. And
literal
it's
candy cane. I love that.
They constantly try to tell us without showing us. And so they show us Sam having a reaction to Jake that I'm sorry is reasonable. And they're like pointing to that as evidence of showing us that he's evil.
Unfortunately for them, what they didn't factor in is the fact that Jared is good at being cute.
He's a literal candy cane.
Jared himself is a literal candy cane.
Yeah, he's cute. And like especially like when he's acting as Sam, he very often has the biggest, wettest baby cow eyes of all time.
Well, because he's able to inject like even when he is playing someone who is not good, he's able to inject that some vulnerability and humanity, sometimes when the thing is human, I guess, into his portrayal of a character. Because he's just able to do that, which I prefer in my bad guys anyway, because I don't like the twirling mustache kind of bad guy. You know, I like a bad guy who I'm like this close to being like, I mean, that's a good point. Like, you know, like I want that. And he does it.
I do actually like the fact that they kind of set up this idea of like, oh, is what you brought back 100% actually Sam? And then the answer is yeah, it is 100% Sam. Like, he's actually kind of a good subversion of that trope.
But what's funny is they didn't ask that about Dean.
Like,
when he died and came back, they don't ask that about Dean.
It kind of makes me think of like in Buffy in season 6, like she's convinced the whole time that she's been brought back wrong because Spike's chip doesn't work on her, and like maybe she's been brought back in a way that's like, and then it turns out she's not. Like, she's just depressed.
She just needs some Lexapro.
But again, it's like a good subversion of that trope of like came back wrong. I actually quite like the fact that he didn't come back wrong.
Well, because
I like
if
that, but
Sam
they
had
spent
come back wrong, then wouldn't it mean that Dean also came back wrong? Why are we not asking the same question of Dean?
Yeah.
I just don't like that as a choice in the
I think
writing.
that's the eternal question, right? Like, why are we
Yeah.
not asking these same questions
Why
of
is it
Dean?
only
Sam is held to a different standard because he is a kind, compassionate, wonderful man.
Yeah.
And so they ask, oh, if he's ever ruthless, then it must be because something's wrong. But because Dean is always a ruthless killer in his hunting, like they're just like, oh, that's just Dean. And I just think it's insane that we criticize, or the fandom like finds ways to criticize Sam for not acting as much like Sam, but maybe acting a little bit more like Dean, and calling that brutal, but not Dean himself brutal.
This is the problem, is that what the fandom buys into the idea that Sam is the monstrous other, that Sam's monstrosity is inherent to his being, and therefore that anything that he does is like a product of some like inherent monstrosity that
it's
that
evidence
resides within him.
that he's supernaturally like
but
evil or not quite right, rather than just shitty.
The show does often also buy into that, which is where like then the fandom, so much of this fandom just needs to like step outside of the lens of the show and outside the lens of Dean's point of view, and you'd get so much more out of it. But like we do, even from the show, get stuff like when in season 3, like when Dean says, like, what's up with you, man, Sam, like you know you're being a bit harsher, and kind of like you're being a bit more like shoot first, ask questions later, etc. And Sam says, I'm just trying to be like you,
because I'm not going to have you forever.
You're going to go to hell and I'm going to be on my own and I need to protect myself. And it's like people hear that and then it just goes in one ear and out the other.
The literal text of the show.
They refuse to believe what Sam says and instead decide to believe what Dean. Yeah, but like they just are like, well, I'm gonna listen to what Dean fears rather than what Sam honestly says. And like, yeah, I mean, it's how we all feel as women. Like, you're gonna believe a man over what I say about my I literally had an issue with a podcast I was listening to the other day. And it was like a Reddit story, and they were kind of trying to rank like the nice guys, like the bad, you know what I mean? Like nice guys.
Yeah.
And the worst nice guy to me was this guy who was like, had like this Joker inside like monologue where he was rejected from a woman and then like had all of these weird, like scary thoughts. And the guys on the, I unsubscribed because I was like, fuck these guys. But they literally said, well, I don't think he's as bad because he didn't act on it, but this other guy is worse. And someone in the chat, because they do it on a stream, said, as a woman, I'd much rather be pursued by the other guy than the guy with the inner monologue. And immediately after reading that comment, he goes, I don't know about that. Excuse me? What do you mean you don't know about that? She just told you. Like, this guy is a threat to women, and a woman just told you, and you went, I don't know about that. I said, fucking finally, John protects his kids. Has to be from beyond the grave or nothing. And now the gates of hell are open. So that satisfies my constant questioning of why aren't there more demons? Why don't they know anything about demons? And you guys having to remind me.
There they are.
Actually, they're not out there as much yet. Now they are.
Yeah.
But the yellow-eyed demon dies by getting shot by the cult. And poor Bobby and Ellen somehow, like after the yellow-eyed demon gets shot, they're able to close it. Were those things connected?
I don't know.
How are two people just able to shut the gates to hell by themselves?
I'm not sure.
It's so weird.
This is a little bit part of, for me, why this episode doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
There's a few too many moving parts and not all of them connect as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of logic issues to me.
I'm still confused about the railroad devil's trap thing, because if the special kid who won is super strong guy, why don't you just have him break the
True.
Well, here's my thing. Here's what doesn't make sense to me logistically. If all of the demons come out, they should all be stuck in that devil's trap.
Yeah.
Who broke it? Was it a demon? If a demon can just break a devil's trap, then aren't they useless?
It did get broken.
But was it by a
Because I
demon
can
is my
picture, but
question.
I can't remember who did it.
I think it was a demon, which doesn't make sense because demons can't break a devil's trap. So like
Yeah,
if
that's the
they
whole
brought
point of it.
if they brought the strong guy to break one of the things and then release it,
They can if they're outside of the devil's trap.
but
We
they're
do
in
see
it.
that
But they're not.
They're not. It's in the
Yeah,
center
true.
And
of the
also,
giant devil's
Yellow
trap.
Eyes, that's why none of the demons were actually in the devil's trap. Like, that's why it was the clear zone. And that's why Yellow Eyes said he needed this special kid because he couldn't cross the
True.
iron
Yeah.
lines or whatever. But why didn't he just have special like he thought it would be Sam, and Sam doesn't have special super strength. So I get it. He had this plan.
Yeah.
But it ended up being Jake. So now he doesn't have to do the whole, hey Jake, I'm gonna trust you to
Yeah,
go in
just
there
go
and
break it.
just break it, and I'll go in and turn the key myself. Thank you very much. Like that that was confusing to me. That was a thing.
None of it makes sense to me at all. And what you brought up earlier about it having to be iron like that, that also logistically doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Do we know who wrote this one?
Kripke.
Kripke. Oh, come on. This is your world, Kripke. Come on.
I mean, I'll save it maybe for like our concluding thoughts, but I have a thought about the like Sarah Gamble followed by Eric Kripke pairing of finale.
She wrote a better episode, I'll say that. And there was only one logic issue that I had was that little girl. Like they should just call her a ghost and we're fixed. But this is like the entire plan makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Like was it like a prophecy where a special child had to be the one to turn the key? They never say anything like that.
If we get too far down that line, like, I mean, once we get to the point where in season 5 it's revealed about the fact that like Sam and Dean were always fated to be the vessels, and like why did all of this falls apart? So.
Yeah, why did this episode even happen? Why did they even? Yeah.
So
everyone's
just that one we can blame on the writer's strike because season 3 would have been a very different season.
True.
That's true.
Everyone awkwardly stares at John, who now just looks like Denny from Grey's Anatomy. Like he literally has just been like, I've been on Grey's Anatomy set. Hey guys.
He says nothing.
It literally says nothing. Like, fuck off, John. Leave us alone. And I want to talk about how he squeezes Dean's shoulder, but doesn't even step towards Sam. And then he gets to go to heaven. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. As I said, I hate it as a moment for Sam,
right?
But like as a piece of like the way it's framed, and they've also used this framing before of like John and Dean, and then Sam shown like in the background like this. Like they've used this framing quite a bit. It's so effective at communicating that like isolation and othering from his family.
And I think one of those instances is when they first meet up with Dad again, and Sam has been kind of poorly anticipating this moment because he's not sure that Dad will even welcome him. And so he is standing back and Dean and Dad are face to face. It's like that scene over again. But I also don't like it.
Yeah, the thing is, on a different show, on a show that wasn't the Family is Hell show, this would have been a moment when narratively you would have said, okay, Sam, his whole life has been kept on the outside of this relationship. He's had this distance, this othering from it. Narratively, now what we do is we have this final moment between John and Dean and Sam, and it's like a closure on that, and we see Sam being like brought into that moment, right?
Welcome him in or something.
That's not what this show is.
Or
it isn't.
Or you have Sam watch this moment and then have like a bittersweet moment on his own where he's like, I am never gonna get that, and then that carries through as a character trait later. But the show will never bring it up again.
No, I mean that again would rely on like too much Sam interiority, which we're not allowed.
Which we don't
like unless he's in a coma.
They're physically inside his brain. So the only reason I was glad that John got to cross over and go to heaven or whatever is for the boys' sake, so they don't have to think of him in hell anymore. But past that, I'm like, but also glad we never have to see him again.
My only question logistically is, right, I get that he's been there a little while and he's not broken, but why wouldn't you just keep why wouldn't you just keep them both? Like as insurance? Like you might as
Yeah.
well like have Dean and John and just be like,
Well, I don't think they let John
No,
go.
I feel like there's
no,
a
I guess
demon
not.
in season 3 that explains that like he got loose, or maybe it
He
was like in
escaped.
season 4. Yeah, like
Yeah,
they
I guess
explain
so.
like you were the man in hell now instead of your dad. I don't know. Like I do think they explain that, but I don't.
Yeah,
Obviously, you guys know I have amnesia, so I don't really know. But
Yeah, I think
yeah,
getting
yeah.
Dean
You're
down
right.
into
I don't
hell
think it was like,
mhm,
was kind of insurance. And
mhm.
then at
yeah,
the end of the episode, John escapes with the demons. I wonder how
true.
many other like hell ghosts
Souls.
got to ascend because of
That's
that.
true.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't
Ooh.
know.
Oh,
I just think it's
what if
stupid that John was like in normal clothes. Like he should be like tattered up and like in like bad, scary like prison clothes or something. Because he was
yeah.
locked away in hell. Instead, he's in like this cool jacket and like jeans. Like what?
Hey boys. Yeah, yeah, I don't like it. Don't
Mhm.
like him.
No, not at
Don't
all.
don't like it.
Good riddance.
Good riddance. Goodbye.
Ugh.
So,
No, he's an interesting character, but I
Hi,
have no
other
desire to
son.
see him
Look,
again.
it's Dean and the other one.
Adam, right?
I forgot about Adam.
Oh, were you just joking?
No,
No,
I was calling Sam the other son.
Oh, I
Inside
thought you
just,
meant
hi,
like,
Dean, and you,
and
the other
what's your
one,
name? He looks at a note on his hand. Sarm.
Sarm.
Oh, the Sarm Girl retrospective.
That's what we are. Oh
So
no.
Sam knows Dean has been keeping a secret, and
Hmm.
Dean wants to just sit in this victory for a second. He's like, "We've been trying to kill this guy our whole life. We've been trying to kill this guy for 2 seasons and our whole life. Like, can you just let us sit?" And Sam's like, "No, like, what the hell did you do?" And he's devastated to hear that Dean only gets 1 year. And I think Dean, I wrote, Dean goes, "I had to." And I said, "Girl, no, you didn't."
I had
Yeah,
to.
had
Girl.
to's doing a lot of work there.
Yeah, for real. And then
Yeah.
I
And
feel like Sam heard our pod rant on Wednesday because then he's like, there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. I'm
yeah,
like,
I'm gonna get you
yeah,
out of this.
I'm getting you out of this because
Yeah.
it's true. And Sam does love Dean just as much as Dean loves Sam.
Yeah. Elle is referring
Anyway,
to the Patreon rant episode that we released in March. So yeah, but it's perfect evidence. He's like, he says it himself. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. And I think too, it's nice for Dean to hear, like, Dean's like, that's my job. Like, I had to do this. And Sam's like, well, what do you think my job is? Like, I would
I
do the
love
same for
that.
you.
Yeah.
There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. And I think that
Yeah.
that's like really important for Dean to hear because he's like, oh, you're right. Like, I'm not just his older brother, but he is my brother. And like, there isn't just like, I'm older, so I take care of you. He's a grown man and like, he loves me and I'm his brother and he wants to take care of me too. And so now they're kind of in it together. And season 3 has to be like, we got to get Dean out of this situation,
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's a nice way to set it up and keep us from having to
It's
like
good.
suffer over like, when's he gonna find out? Like, now he
Yeah.
knows before we
We
leave.
have to, they set up so much good stuff for season 3, like an ongoing mission to try to control the demons that have been released from
Mhm.
the demon gate and trying to get Dean out of his demon deal. I'm so glad we got an entire season to explore all of that stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, just to be clear, we're all extremely in support of like unions and
Yes,
writers
yes,
getting more
yes,
money.
yes, yes. I'm glad that there's freedom to do a strike and get
Exactly.
get yours and protect yourselves, but also darn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sucks that it happened to your show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I
It just sucks that it
remember,
happened right then, yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember it was so weird. It was like 2007 and I like I'd never seen anything like it. I was afraid Scrubs was going to be on its final season, and it was season 7 because they didn't finish it, and I didn't know if it was going to come back, and it actually got canceled, and they weren't going to have an ending, and then I think ABC picked it up, and I just remember being like, oh my God. So when I was watching Supernatural for the first time, and people told me, by the way, season 3 was during the writer's strike at the time, I was like, oh shit! I remember how scared I was to lose my shows, and I had that in mind.
You know, they originally wrote Mystery Spot as a
As a finale.
potential finale, yeah,
Because that
they
was
just
the
never
only
did.
way. Well,
Oh.
they couldn't have written it.
Imagine that as the finale.
Okay, but they couldn't have written it during the writer's strike. So it already existed, and they were like, well, this will have to be the finale. We'll just move it to the end.
No, they knew the strike was coming up, so they wrote it explicitly because of that.
Oh, that's weird.
They anticipated that the strike was going to happen.
Well,
probably
I mean,
because
they're
they're
all writers in the
yeah,
union, right?
They're
they're like, oh, this.
They're like, guys,
Well, that's
listen,
just weird. It's
we're
weird that
about
they
to
were
go on
able to do
strike.
that. Because I know on Scrubs, like they put this out of order episode at the end of season 7, and it was like the Princess Bride episode where they did this like homage to the Princess Bride, and like it was even like characters who had been already killed and written off like were there because they were supposed to play it earlier, but they were like, we'll just move it to the end because the writer's strike meant we weren't able to finish our season, so they just really cured it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so then it was like, okay, well, are we gonna get season 8? And we did, but it was very scary. The writer's strikes freaked me out. Okay, let's do final thoughts, and we can rate this one, and then we'll be done with the whole of season.
Final thoughts.
I can't believe it.
I think I've said everything.
Yeah. Vic,
except how much it hurt when Dean's demon lady said following in Daddy's footsteps. That was painful.
Yeah, I don't like how demons talk. They're always too like, I don't know. They always feel rapey to me.
Well, yes, especially in the earlier seasons, like they really heavily lean into that, which is what makes them actually scary in the early.
They're also
that's true.
Icky.
They feel like not just a genuine threat in that way where it doesn't just make you feel scared; it makes you feel like gross,
like sick, like
I was watching it with Corey, and Dean grabs because she's like, "Do we have a deal?" And he grabs her and kisses her, and he goes,
Ew.
Does that mean yes? And I was like, yeah, you have to still with the kiss, it's the whole thing. But it really was, he was like,
I'm never sure. Do you have to like kiss for that long? I'm always like,
he's like making sure it is a deal.
He really needs Sam to be alive.
I guess so. I guess my concluding thought was, I was just gonna say about like, we get another, I mean, there may even be one other than this, but pairing of a Sarah Gamble penultimate episode followed by an Eric Kripke finale, which is When the Levee Breaks, followed by Lucifer Rising. And I would say that has the exact same issue of like a phenomenal Sam episode followed by an okay finale, where it's like I think that partly finales are just hard to write, right? But I think that Kripke often gives himself too many moving pieces, and I just don't think he's as adept at Sarah as like getting them all to fit. And that's a little bit where, for me, some of Kripke's particularly finales tend to fall apart.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, because honestly, like my one of my top finales of the entire season is The Man Who Knew Too Much, which is the season 6 finale.
Yeah,
and that's
I love
Sarah
that
Gamble
one.
Finale.
Yeah, she's so good at writing Sam.
Yeah, like I just think that mechanically she's a better writer.
I agree.
Than Kripke.
Sorry, Kripke. I mean, he's probably better now, but like at this point,
he's had he's probably had lots of experience and practice now.
Yeah. All right. We're ready to judge the wardrobe, but like inconsequentially, but still doing it. So horrendous, adorable, genuinely good, or terrible but great. And we will start with Vic. What do you think?
I think probably a genuinely good, but I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like it was a pretty standard Sam outfit. He looks kind of good when he's just in the shirt after he's resurrected, and obviously I think that the like slutty waist goes more into heart eyes.
Yes,
doing the taxes here.
True.
But,
Elle, what did you give it?
Yeah.
I gave it a genuinely good just because
Okay.
it's a follow on directly from the last episode, which got a genuinely good for me. So
Okay, I gave it I hated he had this ugly orange checkered thing going on that I was just like,
Audrey
why does
pays
that
so much more
exist?
attention to the
But I
clothes than
don't
us.
mean to. I'm not a details oriented person, but when it's ugly, I just it like a taxi. It's not as bad as like a rusty bacon. It's just like not cute. I didn't like it, but it wasn't bad enough to be horrendous. So I gave adorable because for the most part he was cute, but I didn't actually think it was genuinely good. But I'm gonna go with genuinely good because that's what you guys said, and that's what'll go on the visual for this episode. But just know I disagree. So I don't know what Jess would have said for this, but probably would have aligned with you guys because it's not really a part of the discussion what he wore,
No.
except that I
yeah.
literally made a note and said stupid to say, but I don't like this orange checkered thing.
At this point for me, because of where Sam is in his like uh growth,
Yeah.
everything is genuinely good as a base, and
Mm,
it only pops out to me if it's particularly bad.
bad. And
Yeah.
the reason I gave it adorable instead of genuinely good is because he's fine, but I hate that shirt. But it
Yeah,
wasn't
right.
terrible or great. It wasn't horrendous, so that's why I
Right.
landed there.
I can't even remember what shirt this is. I'm like, I don't think that you're talking about the picnic table shirt, but that's the only like orange checkered one I can think of.
It might be. I hate it. So I don't know.
I think
It's
it comes in later,
I
but
can't even
anyway.
picture
I'll go
it.
screenshot it
No,
later and I'll
I'm
send
sad
to
to
you.
say. Yeah,
yeah.
please
Because
attach
I
it
just
to this
didn't like
episode.
it. I was like, why is he in that? I guess I don't like him in those like kind of burnt, like warm colors, really. I don't know why, but I just am
Like
like,
fall colors, like
put something like green or blue on my boy. He looks
green
really
or blue
He does.
looks really
He
good on him.
looks
gorgeous.
so good in
He
green.
has such
Yeah.
beautiful eyes and like they're so unique. And I think I had a tag for his eyes at one point, those like sunflower eyes, because he has like
Yes.
Yeah.
flecks in them. And I just
Hmm.
feel like we should be drawing that out in what he wears. And when he wears warm colors, it doesn't do that. And I just don't like it. Okay.
I
Okay.
just don't like it.
That's that. Okay. Okay. So now we're gonna do the Sam fan friendly scale, starting with screen time 0 to 5. I'm gonna go ahead and give Jess's average score is 3.5 for screen time. And Vic, what did you give it for screen time?
Um, yeah, I think I would probably agree with Jess.
Mhm.
3.5 is about right. This is a for better or worse, this is a much more Dean heavy episode. I mean, it kind
Mhm.
of works in terms of like balancing the finale out, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah,
for sure. Elle?
and also he's
Um,
dead, so just necessarily he doesn't have a lot of screen time for quite a bit of
Mhm.
yeah.
this.
I am gonna give it like also a 3.5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I gave it a 3.8. I always, my reasoning is always if we're getting good stuff about Dean that directly impacts his relationship with Sam, I'm always gonna like that. So I said 3.8, just slightly higher than you guys. Let's go to enjoyment. Jess said 3.5 for that as well. What about you, Vic?
Enjoyment. Yeah, I think that's probably about right. Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy, as far as one can enjoy, a lot of the Dean monologuing and etc. because Jensen really did knock it out of the park.
Beautiful. Yeah.
But again, like if we're judging this on like Sam stuff, there's not a whole lot to get into there. So yeah, I think a 3.5 is fair.
Okay. What about you, Elle?
I'm like a 3.6
Okay.
because there are a lot of things that I enjoy, like his ending like speech to Dean, the fact that he finds out what's happened and he has an appropriate reaction,
Mhm.
and frankly, I know the show is trying to get us to question whether or not he's come back 100% Sam, but
Mhm.
I he had every right to feel that way and to look
I
that way,
agree.
and
Hmm.
I kind of dig it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I gave it a 4 because again, I the Dean stuff was so incredible and it was directly about his relationship to Sam. And I love that moment with Bobby, and I just feel like it shows how Bobby feels about the boys, and I think that's very important stuff. So I really enjoyed anytime I can just like soak up more understanding of the dynamics and of the family, and I count Bobby in that. It is, I really like that. So I gave it a 4. Okay, now we're on Hard Eyes. I don't know if Jess gave a Hard Eyes, but I think since she was going 3.5, I filled in 3.5 for her, but I don't know. But Vic, what did you give it?
I think this gets like a 4.5 just for the moment in the mirror.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, Jared.
The curvature. Elle, what did you say?
The waist.
Like
the waist.
There's some sort of
waistline
equation that someone did about like the arc of Jensen's like spine to his butt, and I'm like, that man has a pancake arch. What are we doing? Why are we not doing this about Jared's back arch?
If you're gonna pick one of them to do math on,
a pancake butt. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Jensen is catching strays today. My god.
Well.
I gave it a 4.
That was very easy did in that Patreon episode the other day.
Yeah, that's why you got to subscribe to the Patreon, because we say things that are way more out of pocket, y'all.
Way more.
4 point what?
I gave it a 4.2. For the mirror scene and for the end scene where he's like calling Dean on his shit, like, don't you think I will do the same for you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I gave it a 3.5. I just there wasn't a lot in here for me personally. He's not cradling with his like gentle hands any like victim, which is one of my faves, and he looked fine, but I also just, this might be controversial, but I just feel like Sam would have caught on faster that what happened. Like it wouldn't have, I wish they would have changed the dialogue at the end to be, I know what you did, brother. Like instead of something weird is happening. I'm like, boy, you know what's going on already. So I didn't really love that. And I feel like it affected my Hard Eyes because I was like, the real Sam would have known, you know, like the
Sam
real Dean wouldn't be a sexist. Like the real Sam.
I do agree with you though.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I also like made a headcanon for it in my head that he knows in the back of his head, but he is in denial for as long as possible.
That's fair.
That's how I'm thinking of it.
Yeah, I just feel like so much of what we know of Sam, he would have caught on early and confronted Dean, kind of like immediately. But it's okay. Overall the episode was fine. We kind of gave it an average score. Let me get this to where I can actually read it because Elle's average score has like 206s at the end, and I can't see the beginning. Okay, so my average score for it is a 3.76. Jess is a 3.5 because which might not be technically accurate because I actually don't know her Hard Eyes. I'll ask her tomorrow. But then Vic, yours is a 3.83, and then oh my God, ours is exactly the same, 3.76.
Oh my God, that's funny.
I know, that's very funny. So overall, this is rated 3.71, and y'all, we have rated the entire season of season 2.
Oh my goodness.
I know we did it. We're going to have one more episode of this season to like do our top 5 moments and discuss. I'm hoping we can get Christy and Jess on for that. It's been such a tough season to schedule everybody. And I feel like I've been to war, but I'm so grateful to have gotten to do it with you guys. And now I like need a break from all this, but I also can't wait to do season 3. So I'm like,
yes.
So
thank you so much. Thank you so much to Audrey for organizing this whole thing and managing it like the pro she is.
It's been so much fun. It's been so rewarding. And thank you to all of our listeners for hanging in and like getting excited to listen and like giving us feedback and giving us comments and
subscribing to the Patreon. Yes. We're so grateful.
We're so grateful. We love all of you. All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.